Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. American Comics Heavens. Elm the Magical Lender. Chapter 1. When Gao Wen came to awakening, not only did he find that he had crossed, but he also became a criminal and lived in a prison. He didn't have many memories from his new identity. He didn't even know what crime this body was imprisoned for. The only thing he knew was that this body was sentenced to 420 years in prison. What the hell did this body do, to be sentenced to such a long time? Is there no death penalty in this world? Gao Wen, who was sitting in a single cell, was in pain. He walked to the mirror and looked at his appearance after crossing. Well, this is a handsome mixed-race guy, but unfortunately he is a criminal. Otherwise, with such an immortal appearance, it will definitely be beneficial to pick up girls. He groaned. Before he crossed over, he was a good young man. How could he have crossed over to a criminal? The future is not bright. He began to silently recite words such as system, gold finger, and grandpa, in his mind, hoping to wake up the gold finger that he didn't know existed. According to the setting of the traversal flow, the traversers should always have something to do with them, right? Even if gold finger is inexplicable and uneasy in kind, it is better than squatting in prison. He tried hopelessly, and then, he really woke something up in his body. It's not the system, and it's not the old grandfather who is with you. In Gao Wen's sense, it seems to be a portable world. Could it be that your future development direction is farming? Gao Wen's eyes suddenly lit up. Having a plug-in means that you have the capital to rise, maybe you can borrow it to escape. He hurriedly got out of bed and ran to the iron gate of the prison to look outside. At the moment it was night, and there was no one outside except the guards patrolling. Confirming this, Gao Wen activated his plug-in without hesitation, disappeared into the cell, and came to the pocket space. This pocket space is about 500 square meters visually. The sun is shining, the ground is grass, and the sky is blue sky and white clouds. The boundaries of space are shrouded in fog, and I don't know what's behind the fog. The first time he came to this place, Gao Wen understood some of the settings here. Name: high-dimensional pocket space. Function 1. Companion, it will stay in your body and accompany you. Function 2. The door of surprise. In the space, a door can be created out of thin air by imagination. The door is connected to the outside world, but the place where it is connected is not fixed. Function 3. Upgrade, the pocket space can be upgraded. Please explore the upgrade method by yourself. Function 4. Farming, as the name suggests. Function 5. Frontier fog. Frontier fog is a very special kind of energy that is extremely valuable, but you lack the means to apply them. So far, it doesn't give Gao Wen a boost in combat effectiveness, but it does get him out of jail. Gao Wen, a three-good youth, didn't want to go to jail, so he began to imagine the door of surprise. As soon as he had this idea, an upright arch appeared out of thin air on the ground in front of him, and he pushed open the door without hesitation. Before Gao Wen could see what was behind the door, he was sucked into the other side of the door. This is an unfamiliar bedroom. The style of the bedroom is pink. It should be a girl's room. Sitting in front of the desk in the bedroom is a girl with shoulder-length hair in a blue-pink gradient and wearing a pink pajamas. The girl sat in front of the computer. Her hands and fingers were flying, and she was online in front of internet trolls. The girl's ears moved. She heard the movement behind her, turned around in confusion, and saw a handsome pot in a prison uniform. Gao Wen also saw the girl's appearance clearly. This is a Caucasian girl. She should be a high school student by her age. Looking at the other party's temperament again, it will give people the feeling that she is very homely. The girl saw Gao Wen in a prison uniform, which made her frightened, and she was about to scream. Gao Wen hurriedly stepped forward, came to the girl, and covered her mouth with his hand. "Shish, don't talk, I'm not a bad person," Gao Wen said to her in not fluent English. "If you promise me not to scream, I'll let you go, and wink if you agree." The girl blinked. Gao Wen released her. The girl was very scared, and she put on a pitiful, "Don't hurt me, look, like a kitten abandoned by its owner. I ask, you answer, don't talk nonsense, don't shout, understand?" The girl nodded fearfully. "Where is this place?" "My home." "I asked for the city name." "New York." "What's your name?" "Gwenpool," said the girl. Hearing the name, Gao Wen was taken aback. Very familiar name. Gao Wen fell into memory unconsciously. and after a while, he thought of something and widened his eyes. Shouldn't he travel to Marvel's real world? In the Marvel series of stories, there is such a world, which is numbered Earth TRN 565, which is the real world. There is no supernatural power in this world. It is exactly the same as the world before Gao Wen crossed. Gwenpool, she is a Super Marvel fan in Earth TRN 565, and she is also a small house girl. She will travel to Marvel Comics by chance in the future and become a traveler who is familiar with the plot, codenamed Gwen Servant. Gao Wen thought a lot in an instant and had an idea. He crossed into this world and became a criminal in prison. He must be a wanted criminal after breaking out of prison. He didn't want to be a wanted criminal. It would be better to take Gwenpool's car and cross again. Go to the Marvel world. After realizing this, Gao Wen immediately started his acting skills and said to Gwenpool with emotion, "I'm not a wanted criminal, but I was arrested by some evil guys because of some abilities that ordinary people don't have. They want me to be a guinea pig in the lab." Gwen, who likes to read comics, blinked. She is familiar with this routine. "Do you have the same super ability as the superhero in the comics?" "That's it." Gao Wen nodded, indicating that she guessed correctly. "I don't believe it unless you show your ability," Gwen said. "See the door behind me, this is my super ability." Gao Wen pointed to the door of surprise when he came. To be honest, coming to Gwen's house really surprised Gao Wen. Surprise, the gate lives up to its name. Gwen then noticed that there was an extra door in the bedroom. She walked over curiously, stuck her head out and looked behind the door. Behind the door is a sunny spot. Wow, she ran in curiously, and ran to the boundary fog of the pocket space, wanting to enter the fog to see what was behind. However, the fog was the boundary of pocket space, and she couldn't get into it at all. New York time, 8 p.m., in the bedroom of a girl, Gwenpool. Gwen finds a suit of her father's clothes for Gao Wen and makes Gao Wen change out of the prison uniform. The girl approached Gao Wen's face, looked at him, and said expectantly, "You have super ability, I think we should form a team. You are a layman, and I will be your Robin." "I have better advice." Gao Wen walked over to Gwen's computer. In the comics, Gwen travels through this computer. Gao Wen wanted to see if he could recreate the travel process. "What advice?" Gwen leaned over. She wanted to see what Gao Wen would do with her computer. Gao Wen clicked on Gwen's social software. This is a software similar to QQ. There are a lot of netizens and a few chat groups. He rummaged through it and found a netizen named Lee. "I don't remember having a netizen named Lee." Gwen was very puzzled. Lee is an amazing person. He will randomly appear in the social friends list of Marvel fans. Just chat with him and he can fulfill our wishes. True or false? Gwen questioned. "It's definitely true. Do you want to bet?" "Okay, what are you betting on?" "If I win, you will be my girlfriend," Gao Wen said. "No problem." Gwen agreed without thinking about it, because Gao Wen is a handsome guy and looks very pleasing to the eye, at least not rejected. For a flat-chested girl like her, it's really not easy to find a boyfriend. She's not very popular in school, and she's always laughed at by boys for having a small bust. In fact, she also longs for love. A handsome guy with super ability is automatically delivered to her door, and she wants to be her boyfriend. How could she refuse? Gao Wen clicked on Lee's avatar, and a chat interface popped up on the screen. As soon as the interface pops up, the other party's greetings come. "Good evening, too, I'm Stan Lee." His name is Stan Lee. It's fake. How does he know there are two of us here? Could it be that you colluded with him to play me? Gwen looked suspicious. Gao Wen ignored Gwen. He typed on the keyboard and replied, "Mr. Lee, hello, Gwen and I want to make a wish to you." "Oh, it looks like you know a lot, lad. For the sake of you're also a Marvel fan, I agree. Say your wishes." Gao Wen turned his head and asked Gwen, "What is your wish?" "I want to go through Marvel and get super ability," Gwen said. Gao Wen nodded, started typing on the keyboard, and replied to Mr. Lee, "My wish with Gwen is to travel to the Marvel world and gain super ability." Then, wish came true. The eyes of the two went dark. When they could see again, they stood on a bustling street, and a skyscraper could be seen not far away, which was the Stark Industrial Building. Miss Gwen looked at the Stark Industrial Building, dumbfounded. Ho, actually, really crossed. After being stunned, he was excited. Gwen jumped up excitedly and laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha, I'm Gwen coming to Marvel. Villains, are you ready to tremble? The passers-by around looked at her as if they were crazy. Gao Wen subconsciously stayed away from this girl. As expected of Gwen's, in this crazy style, it looks like Deadpool. Gwen, who was over from the illness, excitedly ran to Gao Wen and said, "We're really coming to Marvel, it's amazing." Gao Wen gave her a brain break and said speechlessly, "You should be quieter, I'm afraid that others won't know that you are a transmigrator." That's right, we are the protagonists and we are destined to be important big shots. We really need to keep a low profile, at least when we're not masked. Gwen felt that what Gao Wen said was reasonable, but she quickly thought of something, and began to ramble. By the way, we also wished for super ability, what kind of super ability would it be? Having said that, she began to feel her super ability. Gao Wen also felt it, maybe he already had super ability, which made him discover his new ability faster. Ability is a mind reading, not a powerful ability. The way this ability works is to record the mental fluctuations of the target through physical contact with the target, so that it can communicate with the target remotely regardless of distance. The recording of mental fluctuations is passive. From the moment of obtaining this ability, anyone who has physical contact with him will be passively recorded. You can activate ability by simply recalling the image of the person you were in contact with in your mind. After learning about her ability, Gao Wen looked at Gwen again, and found that she was holding back a lot of energy at the moment, trying to release something like she was squatting in a pit, but she didn't release anything. After a while, Gwen gave up. She looked at Gao Wen in frustration and said, "I don't seem to have obtained super ability, how about you?" Gao Wen didn't want to hit her, so he shook his head and said, "Neither do I. Let's find a place to stay first, then see which Marvel time and space this is, and finally find a way to make money to make sure we don't starve to death." Listen to you. Gwen took Gao Wen's arm. She traveled with Gao Wen, which also means that Gao Wen became her only support. In addition to the bet she made before, she became Gao Wen's girlfriend. As the other party's girlfriend, relying on the other party, this no problem. The two came to an alley next to a nearby coffee shop. Gao Wen took out a pink-cased mobile phone from Gwen's pocket and used the coffee shop's Wi-Fi to surf the internet for information. Gwen also brought her head closer and looked at the screen of her phone curiously. She also wanted to know which time and space she was traveling through. Is it the 199,999 movie universe? Or the 616 main universe? Or 1610 ultimate universe? Or a whole new and disparate universe after the collision of multiple greats? She hoped for 616 or the movie universe, and the last one was the 1610 ultimate universe. The latter was too dark, and she was afraid that she would not be able to live there. The information collected through the internet made both of them a little confused. This world is not the one they are familiar with, it is more like a hodgepodge. There are movie plots, as well as comic plots, and the timeline is also a bit problematic. Following the timeline of the Avengers Alliance movie plot, Ultron was born. According to the X-Men movie timeline, Apocalypse has yet to appear. According to the comic plot line, the Ancient Witch joined the Hellfire Club. Just weird. The two looked at each other. Gwen rolled his eyes and laughed. "Why are you laughing? Don't you think this world is great? You can experience both the comic plot and the movie plot." Gwen said excitedly, and then continued. "Gao Wen, if you can open the door to my house, you can also open the door to in the bank vault, let's rob the bank." Who said he wanted to be a superhero before? Gao Wen rolled his eyes. This is not the real world, so there is no psychological burden to do so. I'm a jerk in reality, I don't have a presence at home, I'm bullied at school, I've had enough. Now that I come to Marvel, I just want to do something big, become rich, live in a big house, drive a luxury car. My first all-powerful first step started with robbing a bank. Quote. Gwen's wish to become a rich man by robbing a bank has failed, because Gao Wen's door is not an arbitrary door, but a door of surprise, where the door will open is completely random. The time has come to the evening of the day, and the two were walking on the streets of Manhattan, New York. Gwen patted his hungry stomach and said weakly, "I'm dying of starvation, Gao Wen, as my boyfriend, you are responsible for feeding me, and I don't want to sleep on the street at night. Superior. Come into my space, it's safe, no one will disturb us, we can rest there, Gao Wen said. However, this does not solve our problem of eating, Gwen said resentfully. Opening the door a few more times will definitely solve the problem. Gao Wen took Gwen's little hand, walked into a deserted alley, and activated ability to bring her into the pocket space. There doesn't seem to be night in the pocket space, it's always a sunny day here. Gao Wen said to the hungry and feeble Gwen, my surprise door always surprises me, let me try it and see if it can bring us to the food. Gao Wen began to imagine the door, and a door appeared out of thin air on the lawn in front of the two. Gao Wen didn't reach out to push the door this time. He had the experience last time, and let him know that once he pushes the door with his hand, the door will open and the person who pushes it will be sucked in at the same time, embarrassed. As the owner of pocket space, he can open the door with his mind. The thought moved slightly, and the door opened by itself. Behind the door is a clothing store, and I don't know which time zone the clothing store is in. It was midnight there, and the clothing store was pitch black and no one was there. Wow, it's all luxury brands. Seeing those brand name clothes, Gwen immediately got up and took Gao Wen's hand and was about to go in. Don't worry, cover your face first. Gao Wen didn't want to be photographed by the surveillance cameras over there, otherwise he would have to become a wanted criminal. After some masking, the two went behind the door. They took a lot of brand name clothing from here, and went to other stores in the mall to get some shoes, bags, cosmetics and other things, and then they returned to their pocket space contentedly. Once back, Gwen was excited to try on the new clothes and shoes. You change clothes in front of me, but you will be seen. You're my boyfriend, just watch it if you like, Gwen said generously. Gwen didn't mind. Gao Wen naturally wouldn't be hypocritical, he simply sat on the grass on the ground and admired Gwen as he changed his clothes. After watching it for a while, I saw Gao Wen a little bit angry. Does it look good? Gwen, who had changed into a new outfit, ran to Gao Wen and turned around. Nice. Aren't you excited? A bit. Then, do you want to do something to me? Think. Come on then. Gwen took the initiative and pushed Gao Wen directly to the lawn. An hour later, Gwen was lying on the ground in a large font, her face as bright as a flower after being moistened by rain, and her face was full of satisfaction. Let's keep opening the door. Gao Wen got dressed and got up. Oh, Gwen recalled the beauty just now, then sat up and started dressing. After she was fully dressed, Gao Wen imagined a door again. The door was opened, revealing a camping supplies store behind it, and it was also a late-night environment. Like a treasure hunt, the two went in masked to search again, brought back things like tents, sleeping bags, grills, moisture-proof pads, and set up a tent in the pocket space. Your ability is so convenient. Gwen lay down in the tent that was just set up and rolled around on the moisture-proof mat. Actually, you also have ability. Gao Wen decided to tell Gwen that she had ability. Really? Gwen exclaimed in surprise. Really? Gao Wen affirmed. Hurry up and tell me. She got out of the tent, took Gao Wen's hand and said expectantly. Your ability is much more powerful than mine. You can break the fourth wall and travel to different stories freely. Gao Wen said. Gwen's eyes widened. She couldn't believe that she had such an awesome ability. This is simply awesome. She couldn't wait to feel the feeling of super ability, but her face was blushing, and she still couldn't find the feeling. In fact, Gwen's ability is strong, but it is not under her own control. She can't use it when she wants to use it, but she always activates it at inexplicable times, and then travels to even more inexplicable places. No, I still don't feel it, husband, do I really have that ability? Gwen started to feel depressed again, she felt that Gao Wen was lying to her. Being called husband by Gwen, Gao Wen is very happy. Just as I know that Lee in your chat account can fulfill our wishes, I also know that you have this ability, but I can't use it now, probably because the ability has not been awakening yet. Then I can look forward to it. As Gwen spoke, her stomach began to growl again, and she was almost starving. Husband, I'm hungry. In fact, Gao Wen is also hungry. What I didn't say next, continued to open the door by surprise, Dafa. Another door was opened. This time there is no store behind the door. Behind the door, you can see that it is a very sci-fi style bedroom. On the bed of the bedroom, there is a big lily with black long straight purple eyes rolling around, constantly shouting hungry, maliciously selling cuteness index 10 stars. The movement of opening the door attracted Daloli. She sat up suspiciously, looked at the door that appeared in her bedroom, and saw Gao Wen and Gwen behind the door. Did you guys send me food from my father? He Chengji asked the two of them expectantly. Big Loli didn't seem to be surprised that a door appeared out of thin air in her house. Seeing her calm appearance, it seemed that she had seen even more incredible things in the past. Who are you? Gwen saw the other person's image a little familiar, but didn't remember it for a while. My name is Janata. He Chengji Da Luoli introduced herself. Oh, I remember, you're the daughter of Galactus. Gwen realized. Gao Wen also suddenly realized. Gao Wen didn't expect that his door of surprise would open to Uncle Tun's house, which was really a big surprise. Obviously, Uncle Tun is not on Earth, so the door is connected to a place that is not many light years away. I'm hungry, I'm so hungry, I'm starving to death, you have food, you must have it. Tunmei Ganada looked at the two pitifully. We're hungry too, why don't you come with us to find food? Gao Wen wanted to try if he could abduct Tunmei home. As the daughter of the planet devourer, Tunmei is at least the level of the gods of the universe. Once she is turned back, the sense of security can instantly soar several notches. Gwen and Gao Wen are also transmigrators, and her thoughts are similar. The daughter of Galactus is so cute, it must be very comfortable to turn it back and use it as a pillow to hold her to sleep, so she nodded in cooperation with Gao Wen, expressing her willingness to look forward to the other party coming to her home to play. Janata hesitated for a few seconds, but finally agreed. She got out of bed and jumped into the door and into Gao Wen's pocket space. Tumbling girl, Janata, who came to the pocket space, sniffed her nose unconsciously, and instinctively told her that this place has very, very, very delicious food. Following her foraging instinct, she staggered to the border fog, staring at the fog with her eyes shining. Can the fog here be given to me to eat? Ganada resisted the desire to eat and asked Gao Wen and Gwen. Is the fog in my house still edible? Gao Wen was surprised. It's definitely edible. It smells delicious, Janata said with certainty. Gao Wen decided to believe in Janata, so he walked over to the mist, tried to grab a wisp of mist from above, and stuffed it into his mouth. The next second, Gao Wen foamed at the mouth, rolled his eyes, and threw himself on the street. Janata, Gwen. A few minutes later, Gao Wen, who was on the street, recovered. He stood up tremblingly, pointed at Tunmei and said to Gwen, she has a different recipe from ours. Ah, I can see it. Gwen was embarrassed. Well, can I eat it? Janata asked embarrassedly. Eat it. Gao Wen showed his generous side. When he just ate mist, although he threw himself on the street in an instant, he also got some information about mist from Pocket Space's feedback to his master. These mists, to put it bluntly, are highly concentrated life energy. They are things that are self-generated in the pocket space, endless and can never be used up. If Tunmei can eat away some of the fog, it can also make room. Tunmei can eat enough, and the space here will become larger. Under the gazes of Gao Wen and Gwen, Tunmei opened her mouth and swallowed up the fog of the boundary like a swallowing whale sucking water. As the mist was absorbed by her, the boundaries began to expand outward, and the space became larger and larger. When the original space of 500 square meters was expanded to 700 square meters, Tunmei hiccuped, she was full. As the daughter of the planet devourer, your food intake is too small. Gwen groaned. According to the setting of the comics, it is no problem for someone like Tunmei to eat a small celestial body at leisure. How can they be full after only eating so much fog? This unscientific. She eats a lot. The fog here is a kind of highly concentrated life energy. If the energy contained in a puff of fog is converted into electricity, it is enough to power New York City for a whole year. Gao Wen said. So that's the case. How much fog do you have here? Gwen was very curious about this question. I don't know, there are too many to use up anyway. Gao Wen shrugged. The full-fed Tunmei looked satisfied. Since I was born, it is the first time I have eaten so full. Thank you for the hospitality, Gao Wen, you are my forever friend. You're welcome. The fog here is that if you are hungry, you can come here to eat at any time. Is it really possible? Little stars flickered in Tunmei's eyes. Yes, but as a friend, you also need to do us a favor. No problem, what do you need me for? Gwen and I can't eat the energy here. If it's you, you must be able to convert the energy into food that we can also eat, right? It's very simple. Tunmei was full of confidence. Her ability, like Uncle Tun, can turn everything she eats into cosmic energy and use it to drive the miracles of creation. Tunmei saw that Gao Wen and Gwen were hungry, so she mobilized the cosmic energy in her body and created a large number of carbon-based biological specific nutritional foods in her hands. Gao Wen and Gwen don't know what the food is called, but it looks delicious. The two ate happily. It's delicious. Gwen narrowed her eyes happily, and she finally had food to eat, so moved. HMPH, when it comes to food tasting, there is no one in this universe who understands what real deliciousness is better than me. Tunmei said proudly. This is the self-confidence of top foodies. While eating, Gao Wen asked Janata, "Can you help me with perception? How much space is in my pocket?" As the daughter of Uncle Tun, Tunmei also belongs to the gods of the universe. After she is full, she is about 0.5 full Uncle Tun. Although she is not omniscient or omnipotent, if you want to compare it horizontally, it is probably the same as the super Omega mutant Franklin Richards as a class. Tunmei can do many things, such as time manipulation, time travel, space transition, dimension shuttle, super strength, super speed, super hearing, supervision, energy absorption, energy release, energy transformation, material creation, life creation, soul create. What's more, she also inherited the technology tree of the last cosmic sky from her father, Uncle Tun. This is a treasure girl. My perception can spread beyond light years. Except for this place where we are, other areas are filled with this fog. If you let me eat these fogs, I can eat them for a long, long, long time. Janata said happily. Gwen was shocked. This space is too big. Shouldn't there be some kind of special energy dimension here? Gao Wen was amazed at how big his pocket space is. This is only the range that Tunmei can perceive. It is conceivable that in places where the other party cannot perceive, there may be more space. After eating and drinking, Gao Wen and Gwen surrounded Tunmei. You asked her to use ability to help with infrastructure and build pocket space. Tunmei is proficient in creation ability, and with almost no effort, she created an exquisite small villa on the lawn according to the requirements of the two. So far, the space is only 700 square meters. It is almost the same as building a villa and a yard. When the space is expanded in the future, you can consider replacing it with a building such as a Western-style castle. A group of 3 entered the house, and Tunmei created a lot of furniture and electrical appliances here, and the electrical appliances are all black tech versions. It feels like home, Gwen said excitedly. Well, this will be our home in the future, and the usable area of pocket space will become larger and larger in the future. In the future, we will get some agricultural robots, open up some orchard farms and livestock farms, and let the robots take care of them, so as to achieve self-production and self-production. Pin. Gao Wen planned for the future. If it's a robot, I have related technology here. Janata said. Can I learn? Gao Wen came interested. Janata is the daughter of Uncle Tun and will leave one day in the future. It is better to learn some useful knowledge from her before she leaves. This is Gao Wen's idea. No problem. For Gao Wen, a feeder who can feed himself, Tunmei can be said to be responsive. The next day, after eating the nutritious breakfast created by Tunmei, Gao Wen began to learn scientific knowledge with Tunmei. This learning process is similar to knowledge transfer. Tunmei directly instills knowledge into Gao Wen's head. The empowerment-like learning method makes learning extremely efficient. Gwen is not as eager to learn as Gao Wen, and she has nothing to do, so she asked Gao Wen for the secondary permission of the import and export pocket space, and went out alone. In the real world, Gwen is a jerk, and she's had enough of being a jerk. Now that she has become a traveler, she has also traveled to her favorite Marvel world, and she is ready to use her familiarity with the plot to make herself reach the pinnacle of her life and be worshipped by thousands of people. Where to start? Gwen murmured. As she walked, she saw a shop with a plaque that said, Big Ronnie's Tailor Shop, Custom Tight Combat Suits. Wow, there is actually such a store. Gwen walked into the store with a smile. The store was deserted, and there was only a lady with black long hair and glasses sitting at the counter. Boss, I want to customize the battle suit, Gwen said energetically. I have 3 kinds of packages here, namely the normal package, the medium package, and the top package. Which one do you choose? Ask the boss of Yuji. Is there any difference? The ordinary package is to sew a uniform from fabric according to your needs, and the uniform does not have any special effects. Medium package, sewn with special materials such as Kevlar, the uniform can be bulletproof, warm, breathable, waterproof, radiation-proof. Top-level packages, including mechas, weapons, black technology props, etc. Quote. Gwen was stunned when he heard it. How can you customize mecha here? Just kidding. She wants a top package, but her pockets are deflated. Where is the money? She rolled her eyes. Boss, do you accept credit? The next second, Gwen was kicked out the door by the boss. This boss is not easy. Pocket space. Gao Wen, who was empowered by knowledge, seemed confused. Tunmei is a very competent teacher. She not only empowered Gao Wen, but also created a lot of basic industrial equipment, allowing Gao Wen, who was almost fooled by knowledge, to practice it himself. Practices include drawing design, material synthesis, part production, energy module manufacturing, artificial intelligence programming, and more. These basic industrial equipment that Tunmei has come up with are the top portable industrial equipment in the universe. As long as you prepare the materials and enter the relevant parameters, you can directly produce the parts. Gao Wen, who put his knowledge into practice, designed nanorobot drawings soon. Information is then entered, parts are produced, assembly begins, and artificial intelligence is programmed. In the process, Tunmei corrected her mistakes. You program the artificial intelligence like this, and it will be mutiny when it starts. Do you want to write the 3 laws of robots? No, you just need this. Under the guidance of Tunmei, Gao Wen's artificial intelligence program was quickly written. At 4 p.m. that day, Gao Wen's first robot was freshly released. It has a lot of functions, such as self-learning, emotional simulation, weapon system, because it uses nanotechnology, it can also shapeshifting, simulation. With the startup of the robot system, the initial image preset in the program is called and the robot starts shapeshifting. This process of shapeshifting is a bit like the liquid shapeshifting of the Texas robot in the Terminator. When the shapeshifting is completed, it recedes from the texture of metal, has color, and becomes like a person. It even simulates the material of the clothes on the body surface and changes into a set of clothes. Its external image can refer to the robot heroine in the American TV series, Westworld. The appearance cannot be said to be similar, but to be exactly the same. Gao Wen named her Eddie. Yidi raised her head and spit out a clear female voice. Father, Yidi is at your command. Accept the secondary permission of pocket space, leave here to connect to the internet, learn human knowledge, and return to pocket space after 3 hours. Iti accepts orders. After she obtained permission to import and export pocket space from Gao Wen, she disappeared out of thin air and went to the outside world. Let's go out and see how it learns, Gao Wen told Janata. The two also left the pocket space and followed Edith in secret, watching her learning process. As an artificial intelligence robot, Yidi's learning efficiency is unmatched by human beings. She deciphers the unlimited Wi-Fi network around her by herself, and uses this network to quickly absorb various knowledge on the network. Gradually, she became more and more like a person from the initial speechless, heartless and expressionless. While studying, she walked aimlessly, and unknowingly came to Hell's Kitchen, which is the most simple place in New York. She was confronted by 3 armed thugs who blocked an alley. The gangsters not only want to rob, but also rob. Edith's smart program identified the 3 armed gangsters as enemies, and entered combat mode. She suddenly raised her hand, grabbed the gangster's neck, lifted him with one hand, and broke her wrist with force, only to hear a click. The gangster's neck was twisted, and the other party died on the spot. Edie threw the gangster on the ground and looked at the other 2 gangsters with a blank expression. When the 2 gangsters saw that their boss was killed in seconds, they immediately realized that this woman was a tough stubble and could not afford to be offended. Iti raised her right hand. Her right hand began to shapeshift and turned into a muzzle, from which Bubiu shot out energy bullets twice, accurately killing the 2 gangsters who were about to escape with headshots. After killing the enemy, Iti cancels the battle mode. 3 hours later, her study assignment was complete and she returned to Gao Wen's pocket space. Gao Wen and Janata, who followed her secretly, also returned at the same time. Gao Wen observes Edie. At the moment, Edie is no longer rigid at the beginning, but is very agile, no different from a real human being, at least it looks like this. Edie smiled intimately and said to Gao Wen and Janata, "Father, Mother, I'm back." Janata's cheeks flushed and she hurriedly said, "You were created by Gao Wen, he is your father, but I am not your mother." "Iti, do you have self-awareness?" Gao Wen asked a curious question. "Father, can you prove that you have self-awareness?" Eddie asked rhetorically. Quote. Gao Wen. Just listen to Eddie continue. "Any subjective feeling you have is just an objective fact in the eyes of others. If I say I am happy, I will never be able to prove to you that I am really happy unless you can get into my mind. Let's make an assumption. Suppose that everyone around you is just an NPC in a large-scale RPG game, and you are an NPC yourself, but you think you are a player. In fact, the bottom-level logic governing your thoughts and behaviors is just a program, but the program of yours is etched in the DNA. It's more complex than a computer program, and it gives you things like an emotional personality." Edie talked a lot about the topic of self-awareness, bala, and directly confused Gao Wen. Quote. "So father, your question doesn't make any sense." Quote. Gao Wen. Pissed. Tunmei was amused, and she gave Gao Wen a suggestion. "Unless your ideological level is high enough, don't discuss similar issues with artificial intelligence." Is this a taboo topic? Gao Wen wondered. Definitely a no-no. Every intelligent AI is a philosopher with a view beyond human imagination on the ultimate philosophical question of, who am I, and where am I going? Ask artificial intelligence if you are conscious, and you will always get a very ultimate philosophical answer. Tunmei said in a straightforward manner. "Some people say that we have never really understood the world, because once we understand, the whole world and the entire universe will disappear in an instant, replaced by something more terrifying and incomprehensible." Gao Wen felt hairy all over. Tunmei is indeed a cosmic god. Even if she is still a juvenile, her realm is not comprehensible to human beings. "Well, I remember your words." Gao Wen sighed. To be honest, what Edie just said almost made Gao Wen doubt his life. "Eddie, you must have seen Iron Man's information from the human network. Can you change it into a battle suit similar to Iron Man?" "Okay, would you like to try wearing me?" Gao Wen nodded. So, Edie walked up to Gao Wen, and it opened its arms around Gao Wen. Then, her body began to liquefy, attached to Gao Wen's body, and finally solidified into a silver-white steel battle suit. The function of this battle suit is similar to that of Iron Man, because it is nanomaterial. Its toughness is stronger than Iron Man battle suit. Gao Wen took off in the sky in an Eddie steel battle suit for a test flight in the sky. At this point, Gwen went home. As soon as she came back, she saw Tunmei standing in the yard and looking up at the sky. She followed the other party's gaze and saw a silver-white Iron Man flying in the sky. "This is the robot you and Gao Wen made," Gwen said in surprise. "It's called Yidi. It can shapeshift, it becomes a steel battle suit, and Gao Wen at the moment is in the battle suit," Tunmei said. Gwen's eyes lit up. In the morning, she also disapproved of Gao Wen wanting to learn mechanics with Tunmei, but in less than half a day, Gao Wen came up with such a thing, and she was immediately envious. "Ganata, can you also make me a robot like this?" Gwen embarrassedly approached Tunmei and rubbed her shoulder against her. Tunmei tilted her head and asked, "You also want to be Iron Man?" "I don't want to be Iron Man, I just want to be superhero." Tunmei suddenly realized. She thought about it and said, "I have a gift from my father here, I will give it to you." Gwen took a purple helmet from Ganata's hand. "What's it for?" Gwen asked curiously. Although the style of this helmet is not good looking, since it is something that Uncle Tun gave to Sister Tun, it must be an artifact. It's a portable quality projection device that can project what you imagine into reality. Oh, I understand, this is a helmet version of the green light ring, right?" Gwen said he understood, and happily put the helmet on his head. Janata's head was full of question marks. She couldn't understand that the green light ring in the other's mouth was a magic thing. With this helmet, Gwen can go out and change things with his own imagination. The things she transformed can't exist for a long time, and it needs the cosmic energy in the helmet to maintain. Once the distance from the helmet is too far, or the energy supply is cut off, the projected object will disappear. Gwen tried to activate the helmet ability, and she conjured a Gatling gun in her hand. It's just that this thing is too heavy and can't be handled by Gwen with thin arms and thin legs, so with a bang, the Gatling machine gun fell to the ground, and even Gwen's body staggered and almost fell to the ground. Gwen's cheeks flushed, and she hurriedly scattered Gatling on the ground. This time, she learned to be smart and stopped engaging in unrealistic things. She honestly conjured an M4A1 rifle in her hand, then giggled and aimed at Gao Wen, the Iron Man in the sky, who was wearing a steel battle suit. Bullets definitely won't hurt him, so Gwen used Gao Wen as a target to play target shooting. Gao Wen, who was flying in the sky, heard gunshots coming from below, so he looked down and saw that Gwen was shooting himself with a rifle that he got from somewhere. Gao Wen was interested, so he lowered his altitude and practiced aerial bomb avoidance. In fact, it is not that he is practicing, but the artificial intelligence he is practicing, because it is not Gao Wen who controls the battle suit flight, but it. After playing for a while, Gao Wen finally landed. The silver-white metal battle suit on his body began to liquefy, detached from Gao Wen's body surface, and reconvened beside him, gradually forming the appearance of the beautiful robot it. Gwen leaned over and looked it up and down. Wow, what an amazing robot, it, can I wear you? Okay, Edie nodded, wrapped her arms around Gwen, and used the same method to become Gwen's steel battle suit. Gwen drove it, soaring into the sky. During dinner, Gao Wen, Gwen, and Tun Mei sat at the table and ate dinner together. Edith transformed herself into a maid and stood by. Guess who I met today? Gwen said. Meet a well-known Marvel character. Gao Wen said. Yes, I met Squirrel Girl from California who came to New York for a trip. But she doesn't seem to realize that she has super ability, she just thinks she is a weird-looking freak and looks very inferior. Gwen started talking about the Squirrel Girl thing. In Marvel stories, the funnier the character, the better. For example, Squirrel Girl, she is a funny player. She looks like a squirrel, but don't underestimate her because of that. How great is she? Let's put it this way, if the Squirrel Girl meets Thanos for a confrontation, then it must be Thanos who hits the street in the end. Squirrel Girl can connect to a world full of squirrels, summon squirrels infinitely from there, and the squirrels under her control are like driving bloodthirsty orcs, drowning the enemy in a tide-like situation. Squirrel Girl herself also has the abilities of super strength, super speed, super agility, super reflexes, and super incisors. As a funny character, she can also connect infinitely in the air. As long as she keeps making moves, she will never land and be invincible forever. The almost unreasonable combat power has made Squirrel Girl turn over more than any powerful Marvel characters. Even Janata's father, Uncle Tun, in the comics is one of Squirrel Girl's defeats. Some people say that there are two bugs in Marvel, one is Protégé, and the other is Squirrel Girl. Gao Wen is not surprised that Gwen can meet Squirrel Girl, because Gwen is also a funny character, codenamed Gwen Shi. In the comics, she pursues the popularity theory and believes that as long as her popularity is high enough, she will not die. So in order to increase her popularity in the comics, she always does some actions that are difficult for ordinary people to understand, causing all kinds of dramatic conflicts, thus highlighting her sense of existence. Gao Wen patted Gwen on the shoulder and encouraged her. You must become good friends with her and pull her into our team. It's up to you. Gwen akimbo. As a Marvel fan and a traveler, Gwen definitely knows the power of Squirrel Girl. Now that she meets a Squirrel Girl who has not yet risen, she will not be seen as invisible, and she definitely wants to win over. I have exchanged phone numbers with her, and I have made an appointment with her to go shopping with her tomorrow. The next day, Gwen had breakfast and went out early to find Squirrel Girl. Gao Wen also went out with Tunmei, took the latter for a walk, and went to the cinema to watch a movie. In the afternoon, Janata returned to the pocket space, and she said that she would pull a network cable there. Gao Wen didn't go back with the piece, he still wanted to shop around. He strolled all the way to Times Square, and then his eyes were drawn to the message playing on the giant screen hanging from the skyscraper. Not only him, but everyone around who noticed the content on the giant screen stopped to watch. An international news was urgently inserted above. Sokovia in Eastern Europe was launched. The Avengers Alliance 2 final battle is about to begin. Such an interesting thing, Gao Wen is going to join in the fun. He walked quickly to a place where no one was around, summoned the robot T from the pocket space, put it on in a battle suit, shot straight into the sky, and flew to Europe. His flight speed was extremely fast, and he entered supersonic mode almost instantly, and continued to accelerate until Mach 20, before reaching the limit of flight speed in his atmosphere. The straight line distance from North America to Sokovia in Eastern Europe is about 7,000 kilometers. At a speed of 6.8 kilometers per second, he flew to his destination in no time. At the moment, Sokovia has lifted off to an altitude of 700 meters. The Avengers have arrived, fighting Ultron's droids while saving the city's inhabitants. S.H.I.E.L.D.'s helicarrier is also here. The arrival of Gao Wen was immediately discovered by S.H.I.E.L.D.'s mothership, followed by a communication. "Father, there is a communication from the S.H.I.E.L.D. mothership, is it connected?" Eddie reported. Gao Wen controlled the battlesuit and shot a high-energy beam from the palm of his hand to melt and cut several nearby Ultron robots. Then he said, "No connection." After he finished speaking, he accelerated and flew into Sokovia City. Inside the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, Commander Hill reported to Nick Fury beside him, "He didn't pick up our communication, but he was destroying the Ultron robot. It should be a friendly unit. Leave him alone, we will continue to save people." The existence of Gao Wen was soon discovered by the Avengers fighting in the city. "Iron Man, is he yours?" Captain America asked over the communication link. "I guess not. Stark's Iron Man battle suit is obviously not as advanced as the other side." Black Widow teased. "He's helping us eliminate the enemy," Hawkeye said. "Tony, why aren't you talking?" War Machine Roddy asked. "I'm communicating with the other party, don't disturb me yet," Stark said. After realizing the presence of an unfamiliar steel battle suit, Stark sent a communication to the other party. Egotistically, he believed that the other party must be a thief who stole his technology, otherwise there would be a steel battle suit. Gao Wen, who kept destroying Ultron robots in the battlefield, received Stark's communication. "Can you explain where your battle suit came from?" Stark asked. When questioned, Gao Wen was not angry. He chuckled and said, "You are not the only one in the world who can develop this kind of toy, and we are not using the same technology." While speaking, Gao Wen's Iron Man battle suit liquefied shapeshifting on the shoulders, creating several energy emission ports, and at the same time shooting high-energy focused beams all around, instantly melting and cutting a large number of Ultron robots within a range of hundreds of meters. Stark saw this scene through the monitoring of the battle suit, and was silent. Obviously, the opponent's battle suit is not the same technology he applied. The opponent's battle suit can liquefy shapeshifting, which is obviously nanotechnology. This made Tony uncomfortable. He didn't want to admit that he was inferior to others, but the fact that he was really inferior to others, and being beaten by others at what he was best at, made his pride take a hit. But he quickly picked himself up and decided to wait for this incident to bury his head in research and development, and he would also come up with nanotechnology. Seeing that Tony was silent, Gao Wen continued to walk around the battlefield, commonly known as the Jungler, and supported the superhero on the ground. He saw Wanda. At this point in time, Wanda is not as powerful as in the future, and it seems powerless to face only a few Ultron robots. Seeing this, Gao Wen swooped down, landed on the ground, and shot 2 lasers from both arms to sweep half a circle, helping her eliminate the enemy. "No thanks." Gao Wen nodded to Wanda, and immediately rose into the sky, continuing to walk around the battlefield. What he did is not to lick the dog's favor with the goddess, but simply to leave a good impression on the other party, so that he can pull the other party into his team in the future. Ultron apparently secretly produced more than N robots. Row is that the speed of everyone destroying the robots is fast enough, and there are still a large number of robots constantly pouring out of Sokovia's underground. Then, the accident happened. Pietro Maximov was shot and fell to the ground dead. Wanda, who was located in the center of the city, felt his brother's death, and the scarlet energy burst out in grief and anger, and it turned over dozens of Ultron robots around him as if he was a god. On the other hand, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s helicarrier also rescued the last survivor and escaped from the flying Sokovia. The Avengers began to gather in the center of the city, where the control terminal of the anti-gravity engine was located. When Gao Wen flew here, he saw Stark deciphering the control terminal. More and more Ultron robots are approaching here. Black Widow, Thor, Vision, War Machine, Hawkeye, and Wanda, who was like a mad woman after the death of his younger brother, stood around to buy time for Stark. Gao Wen fell from the sky, and under everyone's attention, his silver-white Iron Man battle suit liquefied shapeshifting, extending more than 30 energy launch ports. Just like a goddess scattered flowers, more than 30 high-energy focused beams shot out from Gao Wen's armor, sweeping the surrounding battlefield and clearing a large area in an instant. The Avengers were a little stunned when they saw his exaggerated output, especially Stark, who couldn't accept it and said, "Is your energy unlimited?" "No, it's almost exhausted." Gao Wen said, "Nonsense." He wouldn't tell the other party that the energy technology he applied was the most advanced black technology in the universe. He could attack hundreds of times just like that. Vision said, "I have restricted the network here. Ultron can no longer escape through the network. As long as we take out all the Ultron robots, the battle will be over." At this time, the Ultron body flew over to the battlefield. Its body was obviously not the mass-produced or comparable to those around it that could be melted by lasers. The material it used was vibranium, which is the same material as the Captain's shield. And it's even stronger than in the movie. Gao Wen's high-energy focused beam, Vision's mind gem beam, and Thor's thunder, the three focused fire attacks, were easily blocked by Ultron without taking any damage. With the almost invincible vibranium shell, Ultron entered the battle mode against the attack of the crowd, and suppressed the Avengers by himself. Stark, who was cracking the control terminal, had to stop his work and join the fight against Ultron. Among them, Scarlet Witch is the craziest. She regards Ultron as the murderer of her younger brother. She keeps bursting the chaos magic in her body, and the scarlet energy permeates all around, making Ultron seem to be in a quagmire and move slowly. Even so, Ultron is still strong, standing still, constantly attacking the crowd. "It can't go on like this, you guys have to think of a way." Natasha Romanoff, as an ordinary person in the Avengers Alliance, can't stand it anymore. Ultron has the idea of picking soft persimmons, and goes crazy with her and Hawkeye. Outputting firepower, the two could only keep looking for cover to avoid. "Thor, can you crush him to the ground with a hammer?" Captain America asked. "No, Ultron is not a living thing, and my hammer has no weight on it." Thor shook his head. "Stark, do you have a secret weapon, like an anti-Ultron suit? Don't hide it at this time." Captain America asked Iron Man again. "If there was, you'd know." Stark said helplessly. "It seems that you Avengers are unreliable. You still have to rely on me for off-court support at this time." Gao Wen's voice sounded, instantly attracting everyone's attention. I saw Iron Man. Gao Wen pointed one finger at the sky and one finger at the ground, and Zhang was full of shouting, "The flower of the young moon that hovers on the other side of the starry sky, please obey my call and come." All the people present were immediately full of black lines. But soon, they put away their black lines, because Gao Wen really summoned something. On the ground in front of Gao Wen, cosmic energy surged wildly, turning into a purple beam of light that shot straight into the sky. The Avengers and Ultron stopped fighting at the same time, and all looked this way. Inside Stark's battle suit, the Eye alerted Stark on Friday, "Sir, high-energy gamma rays have been detected, with a very high energy index." Stark's jaw nearly fell to the ground. The beam of light gradually extinguished, and a black long and straight big lily appeared out of thin air in that place. The big lily has a purple dome with white eaves on her head, purple square glasses on the bridge of her nose, and a purple battle armor on her body. When she appeared, she looked around and finally settled on Ultron. She raised her small fist and flashed beside Ultron at a teleport-like speed. She swung out her fist and smashed Ultron's vibranium mechanical body into pieces with one punch, leaving everyone stunned. After finishing this, she turned around to look at everyone, smiled mischievously at everyone, and then slowly disappeared, returning to Gao Wen's pocket space. "Who is that little girl?" Captain America turned to ask Gao Wen. "She is the flower of the baby moon on the other side of the starry sky." Gao Wen said, "Nonsense." Thor's expression was solemn. Natasha Romanoff noticed Thor's abnormality and asked, "Thor, do you recognize her?" "No, I haven't seen her, but the armor on her body and the breath she exudes remind me of someone," Thor said. "Who?" Stark asked curiously. "Planet Devourer, one of the 5 creation gods in the universe," Thor said. "How can there be a creator god in this world? I don't believe it." Stark believes in science. He believes that the universe was born in a Big Bang. How can there be a creator God? Everyone looked at Gao Wen again, wanting to hear what he had to say. Gao Wen shrugged and did not explain the confusion to everyone. He looked at Wanda, who was still a little unacceptable because of his dead brother, and said to her, "Wanda, you have great potential, and the source of energy in your body is extraordinary. Here I am. There are means to help you develop ability and make you stronger than you are now. Only strong strength can avoid tragedy. I am going to form a team. Do you want to join?" Wanda's empty gaze turned to Gao Wen and shook her head. She had no intention of joining any team, and just wanted to bury her brother properly. "My invitation is permanent." Gao Wen shrugged, then looked at everyone. "Everyone, there will be an expiration date." "Wait, we don't know your name yet." Captain America stopped him. Not only do they not know Gao Wen's name, but they don't even know what Gao Wen looks like. "You have involved too many official forces. I still won't tell you my identity, so as not to involve me, that's all." After Gao Wen said that, he stopped talking nonsense and flew away from Sokovia. At the moment Sokovia is still in the air. In the original time and space, Ultron destroyed the control center, resulting in Sokovia unable to land slowly. The Avengers had to put firework in the sky, but now the control terminal is still good. Stark only spent a little time to get it. Control of the control terminal. In the end, Sokovia slowly landed on the ground, and the event officially came to an end. Meeting Wanda made Gao Wen think of magic. The magic of this world is all the power borrowed from Mephisto. The magician of Kamar Taj generally borrows power from Mephistos such as Oshutu, Hogos, Agamotto, Vatumu, Satarak, and Dormammu. Wanda's power comes from the great shadow Sithon. Humans alone cannot master magic. Gao Wen was wondering if he had so much life energy in his pocket, could he use magic to drive it? It's a good idea to use magic in your pocket space to borrow power. Maybe he could borrow magic like the Mephistos, and then charge the magicians. It seems that Tunmei also has the ability to lend power to others. His father, Uncle Tun, can distribute his own cosmic energy to Galactus messengers for use. She should be able to do it too. However, instead of borrowing the power of others, it is better to study how to use the existing life energy in your pocket space. After returning home, Gao Wen found Tunmei, who was pulling the internet cable for pocket space, and asked her about it. After thinking about it, Tunmei said, "Borrowing power requires a ceremony to establish a connection between the caster and the relevant existence, so that the caster can borrow the ability of the other party. But the life energy in your pocket space is ownerless, so you can't use this method." "Is there another way?" Gao Wen pressed. "Yes, as long as the energy here is mastered, I can help you create a dimension lord without self-awareness. Let it absorb the energy here, and then sign a contract with it. You can borrow power." Tunmei gave a suggestion. "The dimension lord you want to create will not give birth to consciousness, will it?" "No, it's more like an energy conversion machine, in words you can understand." "Then do it." The two came out of the house, and under the expectant gaze of Gao Wen, Tunmei began to create a dimension lord. Even for a cosmic god like Tunmei, this is not an easy task. It took her more than 2 hours to complete this task. A very beautiful elk was created by her. In order to create this thing, Janata consumed more than half of the cosmic energy in his body. At the same time the elk was born, her stomach started to get hungry again. In fact, if it weren't for the food that can't be eaten, boundary fog, Janata would really be reluctant to waste the cosmic energy in his body like this. "It's done, come on, I'll help you draw up a rule contract." Gao Wen walked to the elk and stood in line with it, facing Tunmei. "I just listened to Tunmei continued. This contract is a two-way unequal contract. You can borrow the power of the elk through the contract, and you can also control its behavior through the contract and make it your avatar." Gao Wen raised his hand and asked, "What kind of power can I borrow from it?" "The power related to the characteristics of life magic. You can also try to use life magic to develop some exclusive magic that is unique to you," Tunmei said. "Sounds good." Next, Janata personally presided over the ceremony and helped Gao Wen in the creation of the writing dimension Mephisto, read as elk, to establish a rule contract. The moment the contract was formed, Gao Wen found that he had an elk perspective. The elk seemed to be his duplication and could be manipulated by him. You can now control it to absorb the surrounding fog. I also need to inhale some, I'm hungry again. Gao Wen controlled the elk and came to the boundary of the pocket space with Janata, while absorbing the inexhaustible life energy here. When the usable area of pocket space expands from 700 square meters to 1000 square meters, Janata is full, but the elk, which is an energy warehouse, does not, but also stops absorbing. Gao Wen has been able to borrow energy from the elk's incarnation at no cost. With the existence of the elk brand fog filter, Gao Wen no longer jumps on the street like last time, but can feel the feeling of life energy flooding his body without side effects. He tried to use the energies in his body to see what kind of ability they would bring him. Tunmei approached Gao Wen and helped him test ability. After some testing, the two came to a conclusion, roughly as follows. 1. He can use life energy as magic power to cast magic, but he does not know any magic. Even if he wants to learn magic, he can only develop it by himself by relying on the characteristics of life energy, instead of learning other people's magic. 2. Life Endowed energy increases Gao Wen's majestic vitality, and his lifespan is extended almost infinitely. The body's trauma can also be quickly healed under the nourishment of vitality. The constitution and 5 senses have also been improved to a certain extent, but the improvement is not obvious. About 0.5 Captain America. 3. Life energy can be delivered to others through physical contact, rejuvenating others, healing wounds, and expelling diseases. The acquisition of the new ability gave Gao Wen the illusion that he had become a Tang monk. Although life energy is not as omnipotent as cosmic energy, it is a force that is easier to be manipulated by life forms. You can try to develop some life-related magic, Tunmei suggested. What is life-related magic, and can you give some examples? Various types of healing techniques, shape-shifting techniques to transform yourself into other creatures, and wood magic to manipulate plants. There are also strengthening techniques that change the characteristics of the body, such as absorbing the DNA of other creatures, thereby transforming their body organs, and then obtaining the eyes of an eagle, the speed of a leopard, and the strength of a bear. When you are familiar with the characteristics of life energy, you can still try to create life. Tunmei has the ability to be a teacher. Her earnest teaching to Gao Wen has opened up a new world for Gao Wen. Gao Wen raised his right hand and released a cloud of life magic. Pure life magic is invisible to the naked eye, but Gao Wen can feel the life force condensed in the palm of his hand. Looking at this group of energy, he unconsciously thought of rubbing balls in a certain shadow ninja. He tried to make the blob of energy spin unruly. A gust of wind, not too small or not, rose from his palm, blowing the long black straight hair of Janata on the side. Janata saw what Gao Wen was doing, and raised his right hand, releasing a mass of cosmic energy, learning from Gao Wen to let him spin without rule. Unlike Gao Wen, who only made a breeze, Janata had a cosmic energy version of the spiral pill on his hand. Very good idea, this move should have decent lethality, Tunmei commented. With Tunmei's strength, spiral pill is really nothing to her, and she can evaluate it as okay, which is already a face-saving argument. Can life magic be transformed? For example, it can be transformed into fire, earth, wind, thunder and water. Gao Wen thought of the change in the nature of chakra in a certain shadow ninja through the spiral pill. Chakra is just pure energy, but ninjas can change their properties to turn chakra into flames, water, lightning, wind, soil, etc. I just don't know if the magic of life can do this. You don't need to think about the attributes of fire, soil, wind, thunder and water, but you can try to transform it from life force to spiritual force. Life and spirit are interdependent, and there is a possibility of exchange, Tunmei said. This is yang dun to yin dun. The two had an in-depth discussion on the plasticity of life energy. It wasn't until 5 p.m. when Gwen went home. Hey, why is there an elk here? Gwen came over and touched the elk's head. She found that the elk was dumbfounded, as if it had lost its soul, but she was not interested in the elk. With an unhappy face, he said to the two, "You know, the Sokovia incident broke out." Gao Wen and Tunmei nodded, indicating that we know. Gwen continued, "I had been shopping with Squirrel Girl, and by the time I learned about the Sokovia incident, that incident was over." With Gwen's character, she actually wanted to take part in it, but when things happened suddenly, she realized it later, and realized when the incident was over, she could only regret it. Although you missed this event, I participated in it. Gao Wen smiled and said before and after his participation in the Sokovia event. Why don't you call me together? Gwen exaggerated the way I was heartbroken by you. Next time, definitely next time. HMPH, it's not too bad. Gwen's awkward mood came and went quickly. Skipping the topic, she took Gao Wen's arm and asked the two, "This elk seems to be very unusual, you are from where did you find it?" Gao Wen told her what had just happened. Gwen suddenly realized that his boyfriend from home turned to magician by this method. Gwen also wants to try, but she still wants to grow up. She is only 16 years old this year. If she is full of life energy, she will not grow up. Let's wait a few years to talk about this kind of thing, and now I'd better understand the helmet that Tunmei gave her. Tell me about you and Squirrel Girl. Gao Wen wondered if Gwen had kidnapped Squirrel Girl. She's going back to Los Angeles tomorrow morning. She said she'll come to New York to go to college after high school, and then we'll be able to team up with her. A month has passed like this. During this month, Gao Wen did not go out of the gate, and he did not go to the second door. He stayed at home all day to develop magic. After spending a whole month, he finally developed a magic that is exclusively for him. Gao Wen named this magic, life sharing. This magic needs to be used in conjunction with the super ability, mind talk. Spiritual recitation can record other people's mental fluctuations through physical contact with others, and then can communicate with others remotely anytime, anywhere. Gao Wen can use this spiritual connection to share his life energy with his target remotely. In this way, Gao Wen can do the following on the target. 1. Remote treatment target. 2. Remotely restore the youth of the target. 3. Remotely strengthen the target's physical fitness up to 0.5 Captain America, but this enhancement is only temporary. 4. Lend the magic you master to the target to use. 5. Remotely take over the target's body, access the opponent's human nerve, and control the opponent's behavior, provided that the target does not resist. Even if the target only resists slightly, the control will fail. This magic, which he named life sharing, is almost all a gain effect on the target and cannot be used for attack. The only control technique must be that the target does not resist. But it's magic anyway, and Gao Wen is still very satisfied. In just 1 month, a magic of this level was developed. Gao Wen believes that he can develop more and more useful magic in the future. As long as anyone who has had physical contact with him, he can temporarily strengthen and treat them remotely. With this ability, she can be called Marvel's first nurse. Let's talk about Tunmei Janata. Tunmei also basically stayed at home in pocket space this month, using a computer to surf the internet. She even gave herself a screen name of Carrie Girl and met some netizens. Well, they all met in online games. When the family is connected to the internet, Tunmei has completely become a house girl. In addition to playing online games on weekdays, she stays up late to play online games, and even has a record of playing games without sleep for more than half a month, a typical patient with internet addiction. Finally, let's talk about Gwen Poole. She dreamed of doing something big, and her career finally started. Although not on the line with a group as tall as the Avengers, she also has her own circle in New York, and she is familiar with the White Queen Emma in the Hellfire Club. With the helmet as a friendly gift from Janata, she doesn't worry that she will be read by the White Queen, and the helmet has the function of preventing mind control. In recent days, Gwen often runs to Hellfire Club, not only met the White Queen, but also met the Black Queen Selene, the special Mary Sue who wanted to be a god. Selene was an ancient witch, 17,000 years old. Selene was born when the ancient civilization of Atlantis sank into the sea, and she absorbed the whole village including her parents as soon as she was born. Human vitality. Since then she has been domineering and sidelined, and also established New Rome in South America. However, the relationship between Gwen and the Black Queen is not good, because Emma and the Black Queen have a bad relationship. If Gwen wants to join the Hellfire Club, he naturally has to stand in line, either getting close to the White Queen and alienating the Black Queen, or getting close to the Black Queen and alienating the White Queen. Gwen knew that the White Queen would become the leader of the X-Men in the future. However, the Black Queen went all the way to the dark, and even made a corpse-turning revival event that made a lot of corpses cheat corpses, and the whole day was like the scene of a horror movie. The White Queen is clearly more valuable than the Black Queen when it comes to sustainability, so Gwen sided with the White Queen Emma. Emma didn't know that Gwen's mass projection ability came from that helmet, and only thought that the helmet, like Magneto's helmet, was a special thing for preventing mind control. She regards mass projection as a variant of Gwen's ability, so she is very fond of Gwen who has this kind of ability, and wants to cultivate him into a confidant. For this reason, she also gave Gwen's own company 1% of the shares to win over she. Emma is a very rich woman. Her company's market value is as high as 100 billion United States dollars. Gwen's 1% stake in Frost is worth 1 billion. So, Gwen is now a billionaire, on the pinnacle of life. Chapter 11. Because of the successful creation of the first magic, last night, Gao Wen pulled Janata and Gwen to hold a 3-person party at home, but they drank a lot of alcohol and did not use life energy to expel the alcohol from the body, causing him to get drunk. The next day, Gao Wen woke up in a daze, recalling how he got to bed last night, but he couldn't remember anything. I'm afraid it's drunk. He looked down and found Gwen lying on top of him, sleeping with a slight smile, must have had a sweet dream. Gao Wen didn't want to wake her up, so he carefully pulled her off his body, then got dressed and got up, went to the bathroom to wash up, and finally went downstairs. In the living room downstairs, Janata was sitting on the sofa with a frown. Good morning, Janata. Gao Wen greeted her. Good morning, Gao Wen. Seeing Gao Wen coming downstairs, Janata said depressedly, just 3 hours ago, Xingqian Ant contacted me. The star ant in her mouth is the subordinate of Uncle Tun, commonly known as the messenger of Galactus. Xingqian is a silvery woman with a power equivalent to the explosion of tens of millions of suns. Her strength is comparable to that of a schizophrenic patient, Sentry. Tunmei is Uncle Tun's daughter, and she definitely knows the messengers under Uncle Tun, Xingqian, Silver Glider, Flame Emperor, Fallen and so on. Tunmei and Xingqian have the best relationship, because after she was born, Xingqian took care of her for a long time, so she would call Xingqian Aunt. She contacted you because she wanted you to go home. Gao Wen asked. She was worried about me and said that my dad was looking for me too. I was worried that dad would find the earth. You know, if dad came here, he would definitely eat the earth. So I'm leaving. Janata is very reluctant. She was really happy during this time at Gao Wen's house. Not only did she not have to worry about hunger, she could also play online games with netizens on the internet. She really didn't want to leave. If you want to stay, it's not without the best of both worlds. Gao Wen thought of Mr. Fantastic's means of deterring Galactus in the comics, maybe he could recreate it. Impossible. With Dad's set of judgment standards, he will definitely denounce human civilization as having no existential value, and then eat the earth. Your father may be able to exterminate human beings, but it will never eat the earth. The earth is very special in this universe. It is the eternal heart and the center of the universe. If your father is not so hungry because of starvation, he must know that. Is that so? Tunmei tilted her head. She really didn't know about it. Gao Wen, I really want to stay, but how do you convince my father? Tunmei wants to hear Gao Wen's solution. If she thinks the solution is not enough, she will definitely leave. She doesn't want to affect human civilization. Do you have a lighter in your house called the Ultimate Eraser, a weapon created by your father? Gao Wen asked her. Janata tilted her head and thought for a moment, then nodded. Is there such a thing? Can it stop my father? It's a deterrent weapon. As long as you have it, you can negotiate with your father, explained Gao Wen. The Ultimate Eraser is one of the super artifacts in the Marvel Universe. Its output limit is related to the user's will. If it is given to ordinary people, it may not have much effect. But if it is used by someone with a strong will like Captain America, it is enough to kill the gods of the universe in seconds. If you give it to Thanos, Thanos doesn't have to collect infinite gems, just press it, and it can instantly wipe out half of the universe's population. However, this weapon is poisonous, and the only few times the Ultimate Eraser's power is revealed in the comics has been bounced back by the enemy, and whoever uses it will die. If Galactus is to be deterred by the Ultimate Eradicator, then this weapon should only be used for deterrence, not use. Once you use it, it might kill Galactus, but the next second the rune will jump out for you, and that's a multi-universe cataclysm. In the comics, Galactus is about to come to the Earth and wants to eat the Earth. Mr. Fantastic Richards in the Fantastic Four got information from the Observer Frog map, so he drove a small spaceship to touch Galactus's the base camp, got the ultimate eraser from there, and then returned to the Earth to use it to deter Uncle Ton, and negotiated with him. In the end, Uncle Ton promised not to actively devour the Earth before the extinction of mankind. Gao Wen wants to replicate this process. As long as he gets the ultimate eraser, he can negotiate with Uncle Ton and let Janata stay on Earth. Tunmei didn't know the function of her ultimate eraser, so Gao Wen introduced her and explained her plan. After listening to Tunmei, I think this is feasible. Tunmei went home. Her home is floating in the universe. It seems to be a floating island in space. In fact, this thing is very advanced and can smelt and create planets. Xingqian big sister greeted Tunmei and asked her where she went during this time with concern. Go out to find food. Tunmei's answer was succinct. Xingqian didn't blame Janata for running around, she petted the little girl's head. When you go out next time, tell me first, and I'll take you to find food. Thank you Xingqian aunt, Tunmei said cutely. Xingqian was so cute that she couldn't help holding Tunmei into her arms and rubbing her face. The bitten girl rolled her eyes. After that, the two entered a huge palace like the Kingdom of Giants, and saw the planet devourer Jalan, who was not sober because of starvation. This is a humanoid man with a height of 100 meters wearing purple armor. Uncle Ton opened his eyes, and he saw his daughter who came home, which made his somewhat confused head clear up a little, just a little. He found that his daughter seemed to be full, and wondered where the other party went for food. But soon, Uncle Ton suffered a serious mental decline due to hunger, and fell into a state of confusion again. He just said to Sister Ton, "It's good to be back." Both Xingqian and Tunmei knew Uncle Ton's style, and they resigned when they saw that he started to get confused again. Xingqian held Tunmei's hand, wandered around, and chatted for a while. It didn't take long for Xingqian to bid farewell to Sister Tun and leave, and she would continue to go to the universe to help Uncle Ton find a planet suitable for swallowing. It doesn't mean that you can devour any planet just by looking for it. As one of the 5 creation gods of the universe, Uncle Ton has his own principles. He will not devour those civilizations that are beneficial to the development of the cosmos, nor will he devour lifeless ones. The planet will only devour the civilization planet that he thinks is not conducive to the development of the universe. Galactus messengers will also screen suitable targets in the entire universe according to this standard, which is not an easy job. Seeing Xingqian aunt leave, Tunmei breathed a sigh of relief, and then crept into her father's collection room, where she found the ultimate eraser that looked like a lighter. Tunmei with a super artifact is back. Gao Wen has given Tunmei secondary permission to import and export pocket space. As long as she has permission, she can return instantly no matter where she is in the universe. So Tunmei was sent back directly from home, saving the effort of rushing on the road. It's what you call a lighter. Janata handed it to Gao Wen. Gao Wen took it and was influenced by it. The whole world became different in his eyes. He saw the rule, time, space, matter, energy, various units. Just focus on a concept and press the button on the ultimate eraser to erase the target. But using it requires the blessing of willpower. It seems that the ultimate eraser can erase everything. Its upper limit can even erase time and restart history. However, if the user's will is not up to standard, he still wants to erase some super spec things. Not only will this be unsuccessful, it will also be met with backlash. Even if the activation is successful, if the target is too strong, it is possible to rebound the power of erasing back, thus erasing the user. Gao Wen knew that this weapon was tricky, and even though he knew it was one of Marvel's best artifacts, he didn't plan to actually use it. He returned the ultimate eraser to Tunmei. This is your family's weapon, you can keep it, and when your father comes to Earth one day in the future, lend it to me. Tunmei nodded and put it back in her pocket. Seeing her so casual, Gao Wen couldn't help but reminded, you must not lose it, if someone picks it up, it will definitely be a big trouble. Don't worry, my pocket is a dimensional space, and I won't lose anything. In this way, Janata stopped talking about going home, and lived in Gao Wen with peace of mind. Gwen, who slept until noon, was woken up by a phone call. She sat up in a daze and picked up the phone to answer the call. The voice of White Queen Emma came from the handset of the phone. Gwen, my company is in trouble and is facing bankruptcy, and I need your help. Is it so sudden? Gwen opened her mouth wide. She had just become a shareholder of Emma, and the company was about to go bankrupt. Wouldn't it be so dramatic? I want you to go to my sister's company to find her and ask her for help. Emma said. If I remember correctly, your relationship with your sister should be bad, right? Gwen wondered. That's why I let you go. Okay, send me the address. Hanging up the phone, Gwen went to the bathroom to wash up, then went downstairs. Gal Wen, Emma just called me to say her company is going bankrupt and I think Emma's story is about to happen. Which story? Gal Wen put down the TV remote in his hand and looked at Gwen. It's the story of Emma and her sister falling in love and killing each other. Emma's Frost business is facing bankruptcy, and she wants to go to her sister for help. If I remember correctly, her sister will next ask Emma to reopen the Gen X base. Massachusetts, as long as Emma has students, she has weaknesses that can be manipulated by her. The relationship between Emma Frost and her sister was really bad, and it was common to fall in love and kill each other. Her sister's name is Adrienne Frost. She is Emma's full sister, but she has no sisterly affection for Emma, and often kills her sister to death. But Emma has a warm feeling for her sister. Later, if it wasn't for her sister who planted bombs in Emma's school, threatening Emma with the lives of the students, in an attempt to reproduce the tragedy of the Troublemaker was a group formed by Emma's former students' small team, and Emma won't kill her sister either. Speaking of which, the Emma family are all mutants. Emma said nothing. Her sister Adrienne Frost has the super ability of contact sensing, which can know what has happened around it, its original holder, what may happen to the object in the future, and what the object may be in the future's owner. Her sister, Claudia Frost, has a similar ability to Emma, and is also a mind ability, but the ability works in a different way. Claudia can control others by implanting new personalities, and can read, control, and implant emotions in this way, which can make enemies think they are blind, or that they are communicating with others. Not Claudia herself. Emma compares her sister's ability to Professor X among empathic powers. Although Claudia has no formal training, she can easily control people in an entire city. Claudia can also psychically blast enemies, causing them to lose their memory, lose consciousness, have headaches, and even die. In short, these three sisters are very arrogant. Oh, are you going to help Emma through the sister crisis? I have this idea, but I'm not sure if that event is going to happen. Let's talk about it when it's confirmed. I'll go first. Gwen finished speaking and disappeared into the house. Gal Wen also wanted to go out for a stroll. He hadn't gone out for more than a month, and he felt uncomfortable. Janita, go shopping with me, he said to Tunmei. No, I'm still playing games. Tunmei refused. Okay, then I'm leaving. Gal Wen did not choose to teleport away, but realized a surprise door in the house. Having had several previous experiences, Gal Wen knew that the door of surprise can really bring surprises. This time, this door also brought Gal Wen a great surprise. The moment he opened the door, he was sucked into the other side by the door. It looks very strange here, the temperature is very cold, like winter. Looking at the environment, it seems like a grove outside a school. He took out his mobile phone and wanted to locate the current location through the mobile phone's GPS, but was surprised to find that there was no signal in this place. No, this place is not remote, how could there be no signal? He turned his head to Tunmei in the living room behind the door of surprise and said, Janita, do me a favor, come and see what's behind the door. Janita put down her laptop, walked over to the door, helped Gal Wen perceive the surroundings, and said in amazement, your door of surprise can still be connected. You mean, this is the past? Gal Wen opened his mouth wide. This is Snow Valley Girls High School in Boston, Massachusetts, and the date is November 21, 1975. Tunmei told the time and place of her perception that she was not interested in the past, because she could travel through time herself, so after she finished speaking, she went back to the pocket space behind the door to continue playing games online. Gal Wen is still a little unbelievable, his door of surprise can actually connect to the past. Pocket space is probably more mysterious than he imagined. Knowing the specific date and location, Gao Wen doesn't plan to close the door of surprise, at least not in a short time. Because once closed, the door also disappears. He lifted the door of surprise, ran all the way to the suburbs, found an uninhabited cave, hid the door inside, and found some dry grass and gravel to hide the cave. Having done this, Gao Wen is ready to explore a bygone era. The location he appeared before was next to Snow Valley Girls High School, which seemed to be where White Queen Emma went to high school when she was a girl. I just talked to Gwen about the story of the Frost sisters falling in love and killing each other, but now I have returned to the beginning of the Frost family story. Is this a coincidence? Now that he has gone back to the past, Gao Wen is going to get in touch with Emma in high school and make some friendship investments. But before that, he needs to find a way to sneak into the Snow Valley Girls High School. As long as he has a physical contact with Emma, he can record the other party's mental fluctuations, and then he can communicate with her remotely. This school is known as a noble girls' school from the name. It's a little difficult for Gao Wen to get in as he is now. He doesn't have any skills like stealth. There is only one way left. Gao Wen summoned the robot Ati, and asked her to split parts of her body, attaching them to her body surface, and turning them into a shape-shifting nano skin. He wants women's clothes to sneak into the girls' school. With the nano skin that Eddie's body transformed into, Gao Wen easily transformed himself into a high school-age Caucasian young lady. However, his figure can't be changed, which makes his figure not slender at all after wearing women's clothes, and a bit strong. But women's disguise is just a means, not an end, so the image doesn't matter. On the side, although Edie lost a piece of quality, her body did not become smaller because of this, but she became a hollow robot. If you only look at the appearance, it is no different from before. Gao Wen turned Edie into a middle-aged woman, and took herself into the Snow Valley Girls High School, where she met the principal, Ms. Kelu Shank, who euphemistically called it, going through the admission procedures. Edie, who is pretending to be a middle-aged mother, is very ladylike. When she was chatting with the principal, Gao Wen, the women's version, proposed to visit the campus. After obtaining the principal's approval, she left the principal's room. Because it is a noble girls' school, there are not many students here, and there are less than 6 classes in total. It was just after class time. Gao Wen walked around the classrooms and found his target, Emma Frost. Emma during this period was not a white swan, but an ugly duckling. She could not dress herself up, her grades were average, she was often bullied by her classmates, and at home she had to face a dictator-like father, a sinister and cunning sister, and a very rebellious, younger sister, which led to Emma's extreme inferiority complex. Recently, she would have severe headaches from time to time. Whenever she had a headache, she could hear a lot of babbling sounds. She didn't realize that those babblings were the voices of the people around her, she just thought she was hallucinating. At the moment Emma is sitting in the classroom, being taunted by a beautiful blonde classmate. Gao Wen recognized the blonde female classmate who mocked Emma. This is also a character in the comics. She is a daughter of a file size named Matilda Black. Matilda's company and Emma's company are in competition, and because of this, Matilda often bullies Emma. But later, Emma's father Winston put the company of Matilda's family into bankruptcy, which made Matilda plummet from her status as a daughter of file size, and was forced to leave the aristocratic family because she had no money to pay her tuition fees. Transfer to a girls' school. Emma, Gao Wen of women's clothing stood at the door of the classroom and shouted into the classroom. Emma and Matilda looked at the door of the classroom at the same time, and saw a strong-looking sister who was not easy to mess with at first glance. Matilda thought it was Emma's friend. She, who was still bullying Emma before, shrank her neck subconsciously, fearing that her sister would see injustice. Emma got up, walked to the door of the classroom, and asked her sister, "Who are you?" Women's wear Gao Wen reached out to her and introduced himself in a voice only Emma could hear, "My name is Gao Wen." Emma shook hands with each other, and only after shaking hands did she realize that there was something wrong with the other person's name. "It's a boy's name." She tilted her head in confusion. "Well, I sneaked into your school as a man disguised as a woman." Gao Wen admitted frankly. The behavior of shaking hands with Emma allowed him to record the other party's mental fluctuations and achieve the purpose of this trip. But Gao Wen didn't plan to leave so soon. Since he saw Emma, he was ready to talk to her more. Emma's eyes widened in disbelief when she learned that the elder sister in front of her was a man disguised as a woman. You came all the way to find me. Right, but I don't know you. I know each other now. Gao Wen smiled slightly. He took Emma's hand and walked out of the teaching building with her. Come with me. Emma wanted to break free, but because her strength was too small and the opponent was too strong, she couldn't break free at all, and could only be pulled away by the opponent. The two walked out of the teaching building and came to the playground outside. Emma, you have abilities that are unimaginable to ordinary people, but I have seen your cowardice and inferiority in you. You shouldn't be like this. I'm going to help you find your true self and let you go from the ugly duckling that nobody cares about. Become a dazzling white swan. Gao Wen was going to take some time to convince Emma. Emma was a little confused and at a loss for a moment. Now, feel it carefully, it will tell you what kind of person you are. Gao Wen activated the life-sharing ability on Emma, sending life magic into Emma's body. Emma was about to ask something when she suddenly felt her body become warm and comfortable. Then she found that her skin became more and more white and supple, and her appearance increased by 20% out of thin air. However, due to modeling problems, she could only be regarded as a beauty. To be truly beautiful, she still needed to dress up. At last she felt the power that filled her body everywhere. She felt that at this moment, she could easily lift a car. Yet the changes are not over. Moisturizing with a lot of vitality, her telepathy ability as a mutant was activated. She felt a severe headache, but the pain lasted only a few seconds before being diluted by a warm feeling. This was the first time that she had heard those noisy babblings without having a headache, and really understood the content of the babbling. To distinguish carefully, the raving seems to come from the students around. Is this their voice? Emma looked at Gao Wen in front of her unconsciously, but she didn't hear Gao Wen's voice. She only felt some kind of strong fire of life, which made her want to get close to him. When Emma was adapting to the ability, Gao Wen was also feeling the ability of the other party through the connection with Emma, and through this connection, he actively blocked Emma's telepathy to himself, otherwise the other party would definitely be able to see his thoughts. Through the induction of Emma ability, Gao Wen has gained a lot of insight. He feels that he can use this insight to change the nature of the life energy in his body, turn it into spiritual power, and then develop spiritual magic. It was a pleasant surprise. Gao Wen has a strong intuition. Maybe after he masters spiritual magic, he will be able to develop a magic loan contract of magic lending, charging a price. Did you feel it? This is your ability, the ability of your mind. Gao Wen put his arms around his chest, leaned his body against the railing beside him, and said with a smile. This is super ability. Emma couldn't believe it. You can hear other people's voices, see other people's thoughts, and when you focus your attention on someone, you can also enter that person's spiritual world and interfere with them. You can also connect to other people's hearts. Let the learning process of others become your own learning process, and master all kinds of knowledge easily. You should not be the ugly duckling who is so special. Emma, you are destined to shine. Gao Wen smiled and encouraged. The words ignited Emma's little ambition and set her on fire. Can I really be a white swan? As long as you believe in yourself, you can definitely do it. Gao Wen affirmed. Emma took a deep breath and nodded firmly. I see, Gao Wen, in order to live up to your expectations, I will definitely become a white swan. That's right. Gao Wen reached out and touched Emma's hair. Emma of this period has not dyed blonde hair, but has brown waist-length hair. I don't know what you look like yet. Emma looked at Gao Wen with bright eyes, wanting to know the real appearance of the other party's women's clothes. At this time, the bell rang for the class. There will be opportunities in the future. You go to class first, we will see you next time. Gao Wen waved goodbye to Emma. Emma had many more questions to ask, but the bell rang and she had to leave and go back to the classroom. At the moment, at 9 a.m., Gao Wen and Yidi left the Snow Valley Girls' High School, restored their original faces, and teleported back to the pocket space. The latitude of pocket space is different from reality. Although there is a door of surprise to connect the past, if you don't go through that door, going out from pocket space will still be modern. Conversely, if you walk through the unclosed door of surprise, you will go back in time. Definitely the premise of all this is that Gao Wen doesn't close the door. Once it is closed, when it is opened again, it will not be connected. After returning home, Gao Wen let Yidi play by himself. He sat next to the sofa in the living room and swallowed the girl, closed his eyes and felt the spiritual enlightenment he just got from Emma, trying to convert life energy into spiritual energy. Tunmei turned her head and looked at Gao Wen, who was sitting next to her. Seeing that he closed his eyes and wandering, he didn't speak to him, looked away and continued to play games. Gao Wen worked hard for a while, but couldn't find the correct transformation posture, so he used life sharing to remotely connect Emma again, and corrected his own errors in the transformation of energy properties by constantly observing Emma's spiritual power. Gradually, he groped for some doorways. The life energy flowing through his brain gradually took on a trace of spiritual characteristics. Gao Wen found that the energy of this new characteristic can easily spread out of the body and be manipulated like an arm. Janata on the side, feeling the wave of life spirit emanating from Gao Wen's body, looked over again curiously. The energy you release contains a strong sense of independence, Tunmei said. What do you mean by independence? Gao Wen asked her, opening her eyes. For example, if you cut off this kind of energy that is released outside the body, the energy doesn't dissipate immediately, it persists for a period of time according to your behavioral pattern. Is this the legendary external precision score? It's not schizophrenia, it contains your will, and they won't go against your original wishes. In essence, it's you who are released, and you can control them at any time. What's the use of this trick? Gao Wen asked again. It can parasitize in other people's bodies, subtly interfere with other people's will, and finally make others obey you. Hearing what Tunmei said, Gao Wen realized the awesomeness of his new magic. Let's name this move spiritual parasitism. I feel that this skill has a bit of Cthulhu's style of painting, parasitizing other people's minds, and subtly turning them into their own puppets, which sounds very evil. Gao Wen, who got the new ability again, excitedly picked up Tunmei and gave her a sip on her face, then put her down and said, I'll find someone to try the effect. After he finished speaking, he ran away. Tunmei, who was kissed on the face, looked dumbfounded, and she subconsciously touched the place where she was kissed. I was forcibly kissed. She was a little suspicious of life. But not annoying. Going back to the past, Gao went along the door of surprise. He came to the woods outside the Snow Valley Girls' High School, and found a clean place to sit cross-legged. He activated the mind parasitic ability to spread out his will. He found that this method can be used to perceive life around them, which is another magical effect. He decided to name this type of perception, life perception. Through life perception, he can feel all the life forms within a radius of several kilometers, including their positions, but he cannot feel the specific picture. Every student and every teacher at Shuigu Girls' High School not far away is under his influence. Gao Wen also found that he no longer seemed to need physical contact to record other people's mental fluctuations. As long as you use the ability of life perception to perceive, you can obtain other people's spiritual fluctuations, and then connect with the ability of spiritual reading, you can distinguish who it is. Gao Wen has targeted Emma's nemesis at school, Matilda Black. Then launched a psychic parasitism on it. Ability failed to activate. Gao Wen frowned, he didn't know what the problem was. In order to determine the problem, he tried several more psychic parasites on Matilda Black, and gradually discovered the problem. There is a protection in everyone's spiritual world. It is unclear what the specific scientific name of this protection is, Gao Wen. Let's call it the wall of the heart. The wall of the heart is the separation of self-consciousness from others' self-consciousness and the objective world, come a wall. Emma's spiritual ability can easily penetrate the wall of other people's hearts, and even treat the wall of other people's hearts as non-existent. This is probably because Emma's spiritual ability is well camouflaged and can easily bypass the wall of happiness, immune mechanism. But Gao Wen's mind parasitism is different. This ability is too aggressive and too poorly camouflaged, which will directly trigger the immune mechanism of the heart wall. If you want to successfully parasitize others, you must break through the walls of others' hearts. The stronger the willpower, the stronger the heart wall will be. Gao Wen tries to pierce Matilda's heart wall by turning his psychic parasitic magic into a thorn. It jabbed at a point on the wall of Matilda's heart, poked for about 10 minutes, and finally poked in, successfully achieving spiritual parasitism. Matilda is just an ordinary person, and the wall of an ordinary person's heart is so strong that it would be useless to replace it with Captain America Steve Rogers. After Matilda's spiritual parasitism takes effect, Gao Wen can feel the other party's existence. This feeling is very similar to the legendary sixth sense, which can perceive the other party's current position, physiological state, and emotions all the time. But you can't listen to the other party's voice, and you can't spy on the other party's memory. Through this induction, Gao Wen can constantly infect each other's body and soul. It's just that this process takes time. It's hard to say how long it will take, but it will take at least a month. Gao Wen had an idea: what would happen if he used life sharing on someone who was mind parasitized. To test the effect, Gao Wen cast a life sharing magic on Matilda. Under the double interference of life sharing and spiritual parasitism, Gao Wen found himself able to control each other's behavior. This is another place to complement each other. If it is just a simple life sharing, if you want to control the target, you must do so with the target's consent and no resistance. But coupled with the mind parasitic, it becomes a strong control. Gao Wen takes a strong hold on Matilda. It felt like he had an extra body, allowing him to control Matilda Black's body as well as his own. In the Snow Valley Girls' High School, Matilda, who was sitting in the classroom and listening to the class, suddenly blinked. She looked down at her body and tried to move her lower limbs without the slightest sense of obstruction. This feeling was very wonderful. Not long after, the bell rang for the end of Get Out of Class. Several of Matilda's valets joined her to chat about fashion. But Matilda didn't participate in their chat, but got up and walked towards Emma. Her little followers thought she was going to bully Emma again, so they all followed along. Matilda stopped, looked behind her and said, "You don't follow me." When she finished, she turned and continued towards Emma. The few attendant girls looked at each other in dismay, and could only return to their previous positions depressed. When I saw Emma coming from Matilda, I thought that the other party was going to find fault again. If it was the former Emma, she would definitely be bullied by the other party as if she were submissive. But Emma at the moment is no longer the Emma she used to be. She has gained super ability and no longer has low self-esteem. She is more confident than ever. Emma looked directly at the approaching Matilda, and activated her psychic ability to invade the opponent's spiritual world. There are many pieces of thought, and there are many pieces of the spiritual world. Emma's mental body has entered Matilda's spiritual world. Being in such a place, it feels that time does not speed up, but compared with this spiritual world, the flow of time in the world has slowed down. Emma's mental body saw a person in a cage in Matilda's spiritual world, and the other party was Matilda. Emma wondered why such an environment was present in Matilda's mind. Emma, who is not yet a master of psychology, doesn't understand what this scene means. Emma sees Matilda in the cage, and the latter sees Emma. Matilda panicked to Emma for help. "Save me, please, get me out." Emma walked to the cage and asked her in confusion. "Why are you locked up here? Someone robbed my body. He is controlling me. Please save me out, please." Matilda in the cage has lost her demeanor as a campus queen, and only has fear and helplessness. "Who took your body?" Emma was curious. "I don't know, but at the moment the person controlling my body must be the guy." "You want me to let you out?" Emma narrowed her eyes and smiled inexplicably. "Yes, please. Hee. When you bullied me, I also begged you, but you didn't move. Do you still expect me to help you now?" "Sorry, I won't save you, even if I have the ability to do it." "Little fool, you can continue to live in darkness in the cage." Emma's mental body sneered, then turned around and disappeared into Matilda's spiritual world. A few minutes passed in the spiritual world, but only a moment passed in the real world. Emma stared at the Matilda, who walked in front of her, and asked her calmly, "Who are you? Forget me so soon, Emma." Matilda took the seat in front of Emma, face to face with her. Emma was stunned for a moment, then realized something. She asked in astonishment, "Are you Gao Wen? It seems that you are not stupid." Matilda chuckled. "Although, I know you may want to avenge her more, but I still occupy her body." "Will she come back?" Meeting. In the woods outside the school, Gao Wen got up and left, returning to pocket space. At the same time, he is also doing two things, continuing to control Matilda Black to chat with Emma. It is worth mentioning that this kind of control cannot span time and space. The reason why Gao Wen can control Matilda in the past through time is because there is a connecting door in the pocket space. Past, Massachusetts, Snow Valley Girls High School, 4 p.m. At the moment it was school time, and Matilda and Emma walked out of the school together. Many classmates who knew about the bad relationship between the two were incredulous. When did the relationship between them become so good? Walking to the gate of the school, there is a luxury car parked here, it is to pick up Emma. Emma's family is very rich, so of course they have a private driver. Emma uses a private car to commute to and from school every day. Want to visit my house? Emma invited Matilda. Okay. Matilda nodded with a smile and followed Emma into the car. They drove all the way to Frost Manor. Here, Matilda met Emma's family. They are, down pointing arrow. Emma's big brother, Kristen Frost, 21 years old, handsome blonde, is gay, but no one knows he is gay so far. Emma's older sister, Adrienne Frost, 18 years old, beautiful blonde college student, dressed very fashionably. Emma's sister, Claudia Frost, 14 years old, punk-style rebellious little sister, has the bad problem of Haruhi fans like to fight with people. Emma's mother, Hazel Frost, a 39-year-old housewife, looks normal, but has a hidden mental illness. Emma's father, Winston Frost, 41 years old, the head of the family, the chairman of Frost Enterprises, has the attributes of a tyrant, and likes to be dictatorial at home and in the company. From the above introduction, everyone can see that this is a problem family. Emma living in such a family can be imagined how much psychological pressure is. Matilda followed Emma to her bedroom, and lay down on the big bed in the bedroom familiarly. She put her head on her hands, glanced at the dresser in my bedroom, and teased Emma, "You have too little makeup here, are you really a girl?" "I'm not very good at dressing myself." Emma bowed her head embarrassedly. "I'll send you some makeup next time." Matilda couldn't stand it any longer, and was going to bring her some future makeup for her next time. There is no woman who does not love beauty. As long as you dress Emma beautifully, you will definitely gain her great favor. "Thank you." Emma sat down beside Matilda, and she asked the question she asked at school again, "I don't know what you really look like yet. I'm just borrowing Matilda's body to communicate with you. I'm not here, so wait for the next time, next time. I'm looking forward to it." Emma nodded earnestly. At this time, Emma's sister Adrienne pushed the door and walked in. "Little Emma, won't you introduce your friend to me?" Emma was very unhappy to see her sister coming, but introduced her anyway. "She's Matilda. Your friend can dress better than you, and she is more beautiful than you. She will be friends with an ugly duckling like you. She must treat you as a green leaf to set off her beauty and delicacy." Adrian put his mouth to his sister's ear. "On the side, there is nothing to provoke a relationship. Adrian, this is my room, please go out." Emma rudely drove people out. She was really fed up with her sister's appearance. "This is your room, yes, but this is also my home." Adrian walked to the bed with a smile, stretched out his hand to Matilda lying on the bed and said, "Little girl, I'm Emma's sister, Adrienne Frost." Matilda narrowed her eyes. She guessed that Emma's sister wanted to shake hands with her, probably to use ability to spy on her. But Matilda was not afraid of her seeing it, and at the same time she also wanted to know whether the other party's ability could see through her being, possessing others' body. So Matilda sat up and reached out to take Adrian's hand. The moment the two made physical contact, Adrian saw many pictures from Matilda, some of which surprised her. The pictures show Matilda's past. In these pictures, there are scenes of the other side bullying her sister Emma at school. At the same time she saw something even more incredible. When Adrian was about to withdraw his hand, he found that his hand was tightly held by the other party, and the other party asked her, "What did you see?" "I don't know what you mean." Adrian frowned. "Ms. Adrian, you are not the only one who is special in this world," Matilda said with a smile. At this moment, Matilda had a particularly strong aura. She stared at Adrian, look at each other with hair all over. "You want to know what I saw? Well, I saw the soul of a man wrapped under your appearance. He was a parasite and parasitized her. Are you satisfied now?" Adrian directly debunked it. Her secret. Emma on the side was very surprised. She did not expect that Adrian could see through Matilda Gao when hidden in her body. It seems that her sister is not an ordinary person, but also has super ability. How much do you know about the parasite in my body? Matilda asked again. Adrian tried to withdraw her hand, but the other party's strength was very strong. After trying to no avail, she could only helplessly say, I can't see much about him, only know that he is a man named Gao Wen. Can't you see his past and future? Matilda asked again. It's blank, you can't see anything. Adrian told the truth. She felt that she was a little passive, because she should fight for some initiative, so she took the initiative to ask, Parasite, what do you have to occupy this body to get close to my sister? Purpose. No purpose, Emma knows about it. Matilda shrugged. Adrian looked at his sister Emma. Emma nodded at her, indicating that she did know about it. Matilda let go of Adrian's hand, put on a beautiful smile and said to her, I know your ability, know your past, and know that you joined the Hellfire Club, and Sebastian and Xiao got together. What the hell are you trying to say? Adrian frowned. What I want to say is that I know you, know everything about you, and know your weaknesses. Emma is my person, and I don't expect you to stay away from her. After all, you are sisters. I want you to treat her in the future better, or I'll make your life very bad, Matilda said. You're threatening me. Adrian narrowed his eyes. You can think so. Matilda looked directly into Adrian's eyes, and there seemed to be sparks of electricity between them. Sebastian Xiao is standing behind me, aren't you afraid that I will tell him about you? Adrian threatened in reverse. Let's wait until he finds me, because I can be anyone, just as I am Matilda now, and in the future I can be your mother Hazel, your father Winston, your big brother Christine, your sister Claudia, even your classmates, your friends. You will never know who will stab you in the next second. Matilda's threat is also red fruit. In the end, Adrian gave in. Because the threat of the other party scared her, she didn't want to be on guard against the people around her all the time. That kind of life was too tiring. Although she gritted her teeth, she was helpless. In the end, she could only promise Matilda that she would treat her sister better in the future. After saying this, she left Emma's bedroom aggrieved. Watching her sister leave, Emma danced with excitement. Haha, I've never seen her deflated like this. The words I said to her were not just casual words. I will cover you in the future. Well, from today, I'm yours, Emma said without hesitation. After 2 hours as a guest at Emma's house, Matilda left the Frost estate. As soon as she walked out, she fell into a trance, and didn't recover until a few seconds later. She will be in a trance because Gao Wen has stopped controlling her. Real Matilda is online. True Matilda, who was in the cage of her mind, knew what happened before. This terrified her. The Frosts are monsters. Emma has super ability, and her sister also has super ability. Matilda did not dare to resist, let alone tell others, because she knew that the parasite named Gao Wen could control her body at any time. If you do something that the other person doesn't want, you will definitely anger the other person. She was afraid that the other party would control her body to commit suicide. If she really wanted to develop to that point, no one could save her. The deep-rooted fear alerted Matilda to what she should and should not do. She turned around and took a deep look at Frost Manor. No matter how resentful she was in her heart, she didn't dare to have the slightest idea of revenge. In the end, she could only turn around silently, pressing all the grievances and resentments in her heart. Normal timeline. Pocket space, 9 p.m., meeting room. Gwen Poole, who had just returned home, sat on Gao Wen's lap, wrapped his arms around Gao Wen's neck, and sent a kiss from his girlfriend. Tunmei Lei sat on the side unmoved, and the ambiguous atmosphere next to her did not affect her at all. In the afternoon, Gwen Poole went to Emma's sister Adrian Frost's company to ask for help on Emma's behalf. It is well known how bad the relationship between Adrian and Emma is. Gwen came to ask each other for help on behalf of Emma, and naturally got the other party's cynicism. Gwen is not a girl who is mocked by the paper people in the comics and doesn't retaliate, she immediately mocked back. The ridicule gradually turned into a scolding. You scold me, I scold you. They turned into two trolls, facing each other. Fortunately, the two sides were restrained and did not fight. In the end, Adrian said unhappily, if you want me to help Emma, yes, as long as she reopens MIT. Like the Xavier School for Young Talents, Massachusetts Institute of Technology is also a school dedicated to cultivating mutants. The latter was founded by Professor X, and the former was founded by White Queen Emma. Emma had a crush on a male teacher named Ian Kenda when she was a student, that is, when she was a student at Snow Valley Girls High School, and she definitely had the dream of becoming a teacher when she grew up. Later, Emma became the White Queen of Hellfire Club, and also inherited the family property, becoming the chairman of Frost Enterprises, and became a rich woman. To fulfill her dream, she spent money to build a school, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston. The operation model of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology draws on Professor X's Xavier Youth Gifted School. The latter established X-Men, and the former learned from others and started a Generation X. Two schools with similar natures are also similar in terms of enrollment. There is even competition between the two schools for students. Shadowcat Kaidi has something to say about this. Later, a tragedy happened in Emma's school, and many students died, including the children of the trick or treat that Emma liked very much. And Emma's Generation X has also been hit hard. Since then, Emma has been devastated, closing the school, hiding in the Hellfire Club as her White Queen, and escaping from reality all day long. Now, Adrian wants her to reopen MIT, making it clear that he wants to create a weakness for Emma, so that he can beat this sister and take her White Queen throne in the Hellfire Club. After Gwen left Adrian's company, he went back to the Hellfire Club to find Emma and told her Adrian's request. Emma doesn't know what her sister is going to do, but she knows there must be a conspiracy involved. But in order to save the company that was on the verge of bankruptcy, she had to accept it when she knew there was a trap, which made her very aggrieved. Hearing Gwen say this, Gao Wen frowned. He had warned Ed Ryan to be nice to Emma in the past, but from the current situation, Ed Ryan completely ignored his words. Could it be that the other party found some trump card and thought he could deal with him? Gao Wen is not sure what the opponent has, but he knows what he has. He may not be strong enough now, but he can go back to the past. If the plot of the comics remains the same, Adrian's purpose of letting Emma reopen MIT is to create a weakness for Emma. Emma spoils her students very much, and once she has students, she also has weaknesses. In the plot, Adrian will plant a bomb at Emma's school to threaten Emma and successfully ascend the White Queen throne. But the final result was very dramatic. Emma had murdered her sister, killed Adrian, and accidentally inherited the other party's family property. Although the ending of the story is in Emma's favor, Gao Wen decides to intervene, otherwise the idea will be lost. Since Ed Ryan was trying his best to be the queen of Hellfire Club, Gao Wen decided to take the bottom line and go back to the past to win Hellfire Club first and make it his own industry. At that time, he can do whatever he wants with Ed Ryan. In that past timeline where Emma hasn't joined the Hellfire Club, and Sebastian Shaw hasn't been on top, that's the future. In the future, Shaw, with the help of Emma, will brainwash the top of the club and succeed in taking the position. Gao Wen is ready to kill Sebastian Shaw and take the opponent's fate instead. However, Shaw's fighting power is very strong, and if you want to deal with him, you have to use some means. He looked at Tunmei, who was beside him, and said, Janita, do me a favor. What are you busy with? You said. Tunmei put on an obliging look. Go back with me and kill someone. I don't kill people. Tunmei was tangled. Then help me throw that person to an alien planet and make sure he doesn't come back in his lifetime. No problem. This time Tunmei agreed. Can you go back in time? Gwen asked in surprise. I haven't had time to tell you yet. When I used the surprise door this morning, I found that it was connected to the past. I met Emma in high school and her sister Adrian in the past. Gao Wen did not hide this. There is no need to hide it. Gwen was surprised, but then excited. Time travel, how could she be absent from such a fun thing? She immediately yelled, I'm going too. Then let's go. Who are you going back in time to deal with? Gwen asked curiously. I'm going to kill Sebastian Shaw, take the Hellfire Club, and make it our property. When he heard that Gao Wen was going to do something, Gwen, who was always afraid that the world would not be in chaos, became even more excited. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go. Gao Wen, Gwen, Tunmei, a group of 3 people traveled through the Door of Surprise to 1975 and came to the door of Hellfire Club in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, New York. There were not many strong mutants in Hellfire Club during this period, only Sebastian Shaw was the only one, and the rest were trash fish. The club's talkers are all rich guys who are local emperors here in the name of chess pieces, but they are not mutants. Gao Wen and others found Sebastian Shaw in the hall on the 3rd floor. Shaw is a well-built man, wearing a white suit, sitting in a corner with a beautiful woman in his arms. It's that guy. Gao Wen pointed to Sebastian Shaw and said to Tun Mei. Look at me, I can make him disappear without knowing it. Tun Mei said, walked to a place not far from Shaw, found a place to sit down, and waited for the opportunity. Gao Wen grabbed Gwen and found a place to sit, and ordered some drinks from the waiter. Next, I will use magic to control the top management of the club. Don't let people disturb me. Gao Wen told Gwen, and immediately closed his eyes and activated magic, and began to mind parasitism on the club's top management. Not many people in Hellfire Club codenamed chess pieces, less than 10. Some of these people are very rich, some are very powerful, and they also have a common characteristic. They are generally middle-aged and above, and there are no young people. Most of these people are hedonists, with mistresses, 3rds, 4, 5, 6 or 7. In other words, their willpower is weak. With little effort, Gao Wen used mind parasitic magic to break through the wall of their hearts and parasitize them all. From this moment on, the will of these guys will change over time, they will gradually respect Gao Wen from the heart, and in the end, even if they die, they will not hesitation. This subtle process takes about a month. Now it only takes a while for the actual control of the club to naturally fall into the hands of Gao Wen. Gao Wen is going to make some more robots like Itty, and gradually replace the top management in the club, making this place completely his own. While Sebastian Shaw was going to the bathroom, Tun Mei used ability to teleport him out of the Earth and sent him to the home planet of a backward civilization and light years away. The technology of that civilization is not as good as that of human civilization. Sebastian, who fell there, may not be able to return to Earth in his lifetime. But Gao Wen has an intuition. According to the nature of Marvel's story, if something bad can happen, it will happen in the end. He felt that Sebastian Shaw would still have a role in the future, but that would be a long time later. Tun Mei walked back and said to Gao Wen, I sent him out of the galaxy. Gao Wen touched Tun Mei's little head to show her compliment. The trio spent the night at Hellfire Club, only to return to Pocket Space the next morning. After returning, Gao Wen started to create a robot, and Tun Mei was there to help. Gwen is about to leave, she's going to Emma's side to help her reopen UMass. Gao Wen told Gwen, the future may have changed, don't expose us to Emma yet. Save the surprise for last, I understand. Gwen waved his hand and disappeared into the pocket space. It took some time for Gao Wen and Janata to create 10 robots, 11 if you count Edie. Gao Wen asked Yidi to teach these robot beauties to learn knowledge. The artificial intelligence learned very fast, and it didn't take long to become as wise as Yidi. Gao Wen took them through the door of surprise, went back to the past again, and came to the Hellfire Club in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, New York, and let them go in and hide. Only after the high-level minds here were completely changed, and then they calmed down, hand over their rights and wealth. Having done this, Gao Wen donned an Eddie Steele battle suit and flew non-stop to Boston, Massachusetts. Today is Saturday and Gao Wen is going to find Emma. Frost Estate. Emma, who had just had breakfast, heard Gao Wen's thoughts to her. She was overjoyed, and immediately put on her coat and ran out the door. She saw a handsome mixed-race guy not far from the manor. Gao Wen, it's me. Gao Wen gave her a sunny smile. Does my appearance disappoint you? No, you're more handsome than I thought, Emma said blushing. Gao Wen handed her the bag he was holding. Well, this is the makeup I brought for you. Emma reached out and took it, looked inside, and found some unheard of brands. Come on, let's go to a barber shop and dress you up there. Oh well, the two found a barber shop in Boston, and Gao Wen said to Miss Barber, please dye her hair blonde. Miss Barber did the same. It didn't take long for Emma to change her hairstyle. Then, Gao Wen gave Miss Barber a 100 yuan bill as a tip, took out the cosmetics, and asked Miss Barber to help Emma, who can't dress up. Those who can do haircuts are generally more able to make up. After a while of fiddling with the hairdresser, Emma's appearance has at least improved several grades. Emma looked at herself in the mirror in disbelief. She couldn't believe she could be so beautiful. She was so surprised that she couldn't speak. The hairdresser who helped Emma make up was amazed at the magic of these cosmetics. She asked the two of them, "Where did you buy these cosmetics? I want to buy one too." "You can buy it through channels. It hasn't been on the market yet, and you can buy it after a while." Gao Wen said the truth, but the "after a while" in his mouth refers to 40 years. Miss Barber took her words seriously. Go to the mall, and buy you some new clothes." Gao Wen took Emma's hand and said. The two went to a clothing store, a bag store, a shoe store, a jewelry store, one after another. After some shopping, Emma completely changed the gun, from an ugly duckling to a charming white swan. Emma, who has never been so beautiful, was so happy that she couldn't help sending a kiss to Gao Wen. This was her first kiss. At the end of the kiss, Emma stared straight at Gao Wen's eyes with bright eyes, her eyes implying that something could happen next between the two of them is very obvious. "I have a girlfriend," Gao Wen declared. "I do not care." It's all said and done, what else can Gao Wen say? Emma snuggled in someone's arms contentedly, smiling happily. When the two left the hotel, she became extremely confident. The cowardice and inferiority of the past seemed to be completely gone from her, and she was more and more full of expectations for the future life. Afterwards, the two went to the cinema to watch a movie, and it was almost noon before Gao Wen sent her home. "Are you free in the afternoon? Can you come to accompany me?" Seeing that Gao Wen was leaving, Emma was very reluctant. "Available. Can you bring your other her over here? I want to meet her." Emma's expression was subtle, thinking something. "If you want to see her, you have to wait 40 years. "Why?" Emma thought Gao Wen was perfunctory. "Because she is the future." Gao Wen said. Emma's mouth is open. "Then I'm also a future man. Then will you leave me in the future?" Emma was a little anxious. She had just gotten love. If her boyfriend suddenly ran away, she would have to wait 40 years to see each other again. How painful. "After 40 years, I will be an old woman." Gao Wen touched her cheek and activated the life-sharing magic, sending a large amount of life magic into her body. Emma felt that warm feeling all over again. As long as you don't change your mind, this power will make you immortal and youthful forever. To make sure Emma doesn't cheat when he leaves, Gao Wen tethers her in this way. Emma's mouth opened again at the knowledge of this power. "Okay, don't be sad, I'm not leaving right away, and now is not the time to separate." For the next 6 months, Gao Wen went back to the past to find Emma from time to time through the door of surprises. Gwen also knew about this, but in Gwen's eyes, all Marvel characters are just paper people in the comics. With such a surprising brain circuit, she didn't care about the affair between Gao Wen and Emma at all. Even in her heart, she has been looking forward to the moment when the mystery is completely revealed to Emma one day, and the other party's expression will be very interesting. Half a year has passed, and the past Hellfire Club has completely become Gao Wen's industry, managed by his beautiful robots. The beautiful robots are not inferior to Ultron. They are all talents. Gao Wen is very relieved to have them manage there. During this time, Gao Wen's development of magic has not stopped. After so long, he has developed 5 new magics, all of which are illusion magics, namely phantom sound, blind gaze, cover-up, mental illusion, and psychological invisibility. The effect is as follows. 1. Phantom sound. Let the target hear the sound you want him to hear. 2. Gaze of wisdom. Look directly into the eyes of the target, causing the opponent to lose their senses. The stronger the willpower of the target, the easier it is to avoid this magic. 3. Cover up. Add illusion to the item, so that people around you see the item as something else. 4. Phantom of the mind. Let the target see his own phantom. 5. Psychological invisibility. By interfering with the minds of the people around you, you can make yourself disappear in the eyes of others, so as to achieve the purpose of invisibility, which can only be used to deceive the life with the mind. The 5 magics are all developed based on the power of the mind. Although they are not destructive, they are very practical and can be used frequently. Let's talk about Gwen again. In the past 6 months, Gwen helped Emma open the Ma Seminary, and became the vice captain of the X generation and the teacher of the Massachusetts Academy. He and Emma jointly run the school, obeying X-Men grab the source over there. Well, Gwen likes to fight the X-Men the most, she thinks it's very exciting. She also found time to pick up Magneto's daughter, Lorna Dane, from outside, making Lorna the third member of Generation X. Ed Ryan, Emma's older sister, had many bad attempts against MIT, but they were all undermined by Gwen, who knew the plot well. Therefore, half a year has passed since the reopening of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and there has been no accident. The bankruptcy crisis of Emma's company was also passed through the transaction 6 months ago. Lastly, let's talk about the girl. Well, actually there's nothing to say. Tunmei's life is to play games as a house girl and stay up late to play games, and occasionally go out to meet the little sisters she met in the game guild. That's why she's not fulfilling monotonous life, but she herself enjoys it. Today, half a year later, Gao Wen is ready to close that surprise door. Once closed, there is no way to go back to the past, but the advantage is that it can open a new door of surprises, again, bringing him new surprises. Before the official closing, Gao Wen went back to find Emma for the last time. After this date, Gao Wen said to her, "I'm leaving, and the next time we meet will be 40 years later." Emma hugged Gao Wen tightly and looked at him with the emotion of reluctance overflowing in her eyes. "I will wait for you." The door of surprise, which had been open for half a year, finally closed. But Gao Wen was not disappointed by the separation from Emma. Although it took 40 years for Emma to be separated from him, for him, as long as he went out, he could find Emma 40 years later. The next day, Gao Wen and Gwen went out together to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston, Massachusetts. The two didn't go to school together. If Emma saw the two of them together, the other party would immediately realize something, and there would be no surprises. Gwen entered the school first, and Gao Wen entered after a while. At the moment, Emma is sitting in the principal's room. She is wearing a white-style ladies' suit today. She is as young and beautiful as she was 40 years ago. She looks under 20 years old. She is a student here. Obviously this is the effect of the magic of life, allowing her to stay young forever. There was a knock on the office door. "Come in," Emma said. The door opened. When she saw who the person behind the door was, she stood up excitedly and threw herself into the other person's arms. "Gao Wen, you're finally here, I miss you so much, woo woo." "Hey, don't cry, I'm here." Gao Wen stroked her back to comfort her. She raised her head and asked tearfully, "I miss you so much, but you don't seem to miss me." "That's because for me, we just parted yesterday. I'm about to forget that you are a time traveler." Emma let go of Gao Wen, wiped her tears, and without a word, took Gao Wen and walked out of the office. Go to my dormitory, I want to talk to you. Think about these 40 years. The time to talk is over." As for how Emma talks to someone, it can only be said that everyone who understands understands, and if you don't understand, it's best not to understand. Talking, time passed, Emma took Gao Wen to visit her Massachusetts college. This school is not big, but the environment is beautiful and the greening is done well. The students in the school are mutant kids, and everyone has super ability. As far as the overall atmosphere is concerned, it feels similar to Charles's school. "I mentioned another girl who wanted to see you. You told me that she was in the future. Can I see her now?" Emma brought this up again. She has been thinking about it for 40 years. They were all worried about what to do if the other party didn't want to accept her. "You've already met her." Gao Wen smiled. Emma was stunned. She began to recall the people she had met over the years, and after thinking for a long time, she never thought who it would be. "Who is she?" "It's me." Gwen walked over and waved hello to Emma with a smile. "Are you surprised or surprised?" Seeing Gwen approaching, Emma was stunned. "Gwen, are you Gao Wen's girlfriend?" "That's right." Gwen looked at the stunned Emma, and found it very interesting. She didn't tell the truth for half a year, just to reveal the expression on the other's face at this moment. After being stunned for a while, Emma asked hesitation, "Then you?" Before she could finish her question, Gwen guessed what she wanted to ask, and nodded, "I'm going to be my sister." Emma. Gwen smiled and took Emma's arm and said to her, "Let's go and take you to our house to see." A group of 3 left MIT and went to Pocket Space. After 6 months of development, the Pocket Space has expanded many times, and it is estimated that there are 50 football fields including auditoriums combined. In addition to the villa in the center of the space, there are more orchards, farmland, and livestock farms here, which looks like a beautiful pastoral picture. There are more than a dozen simulated robots here. They are responsible for the orchards, farmland, and pastures. It is also because of their existence that they add a bit of popularity to the place. This is Gao Wen's pocket space, and Gao Wen and I's home. Besides us, a friend also lives here. Gwen introduced Emma to this place. At this moment, Emma has recovered her calm from the shock of learning the truth. She curiously pointed to the women in charge of animal husbandry and farming and asked, "What about them?" "They're robots," Gwen said. Emma was amazed that the robot could be made so realistic. "Where did this alien technology come from? Is this the space you created?" "Almost. At the beginning, the usable area here was only 500 square meters, but thanks to our efforts, we have achieved today's scale," Gwen said. "Tell you, my friend of Gao Wen and I recently created we got a teleporter. It was placed next to the villa over there, and we could go anywhere on Earth in an instant through that teleporter." "Who is the friend you mentioned?" Emma couldn't help asking. "Something like a transmitter doesn't sound like it could be developed by humans. Speaking out will scare you to death. Is it an alien? You can ask her yourself later. Well, she's over there." Gwen pointed in the direction of the villa in the distance. Emma followed the direction she was pointing, and saw a very chic two-story villa in the distance. On a bench in the courtyard outside the villa sat a long black girl in white casual clothes. She looked 14 or 5 years old, very quietly sitting there playing with the laptop. Judging from the appearance, the other party is ordinary, and looks like a human being, and it does not seem to be an alien. It is incredible that such a little girl can actually build a teleporter. Emma decided to go over to chat with her after visiting the surrounding area. The three continued to hang out here. After walking around for a while, Emma suddenly thought, "This place is very secluded and comfortable, so you don't have to worry about the outside world. Gao Wen, if I want to move the MIT and Gen X bases here, would you agree? I think provide a safe home for those mutant children. Massachusetts College, to put it bluntly, is a mutant school, which is a place dedicated to educating mutant children. As for Generation X, the name seems to be very high. In fact, the group has 3 members so far, namely Captain Emma, Vice Captain Gwen, and the last member is Polaris Lorna Dane, who was picked up by Gwen from outside. Generation X is a superhero team, but this team has not done anything serious as a vigilante since it was rebuilt 6 months ago. It's just Emma for her cute students who fantasize about becoming superhero. It was established by us. When students grow up, if they want to become superhero, they can join directly. Emma has always been fond of her students. Gwen thinks Emma's proposal is great. I think it's feasible. We can set aside a piece of land and use it to build a school and a base for Gen X. After she finished speaking, she looked at Gao Wen. Dear, what do you think? Yes, but it can't disturb our daily life, so let's dig a new space in the fog, and then set up a teleporter between the 2 spaces to facilitate communication. I wanted to ask before, what's behind the fog on the border? Emma pointed to the border fog not far away and asked. Just feel it in the past and you'll know. The 3 walked to the border. Emma stepped forward curiously, reached out and touched the white mist in front of him. The mist looks like a gas, but it is actually a solid. According to Tunmei's analysis, this thing is hard enough to resist nuclear weapons. Are we going to dig a hole in this? Emma felt the fog and felt hard. To test its hardness, Emma also diamondized an arm and tried to cut it on it, but the fog was unbelievably hard. It didn't even leave a scratch on it. Emma's diamond ability is the ability she obtained after the second awakening of the X gene 30 years ago. When she activates this ability, she can make her body shine like a diamond. In fact, it only looks like a diamond, but more than a diamond, more rigid. That's right, Gao Wen was doing 2 things, controlling his Mephisto elk to come here. Under Emma's curious gaze, the elk opened its mouth to absorb the mist. The fog in front of him gradually faded, and the elk began to walk forward. It dug a forward path in the fog like a hole. The elk was created by Tunmei for Gao Wen. It is specially used to absorb and transform life energy. It can absorb and store mist in large quantities. If this is compared to the amount of food, then its food intake is far more than that of Tunmei. However, Tunmei absorbs the fog energy in order to be full, and the absorbed energy will be consumed by the cosmic cleansing insects in Tunmei's body, so Tunmei will be hungry for a while after she is full. Unlike elk only energy absorbing, transforming energy. If Gao Wen does not borrow energy from elk, energy will not be consumed by himself. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.